Yeah, my Father, I'm grateful that you call me your own. Imperfect, I've tried to do it alone. Yeah, but I'll never stop chasing after you. Oh, no, yeah. But as long as the sun rises, I'll keep on running. You have the final word. All I see is you. Yeah. You're bigger than any situation. Even when I thought it was over, yeah. You came and wrapped me in your arms. You wrapped me in your warm embrace. The storms keep raging on. I close my eyes, cause that's the way I can hear your voice. And I shut my mind from all the troubles that just may come. And I trust your word, cause that's the way I keep holding on. Oh, as long as sunrise, I'll keep on running. You have the final word. Oh, all I see is you. Yeah. You're bigger than any situation. Even when I thought it was over, yeah. You came and wrapped me in your arms. Wrapped me in your warm embrace. I don't have to cry no more. Don't have to cry no more. You made me whole again. You made me whole again. I don't have to cry no more. Don't have to cry. You wrap me in your arms. Wrap me in your warm embrace. It's you. You're bigger than any situation. Even when I thought it was over, yeah. You came and wrapped me in your arms. Wrapped me in your arms. All I see is you. Only you. Situation in any situation. Even when I thought it was over, yeah. You came and wrapped me in your arms. Wrap me in your warm embrace. Cry no more. Don't have to cry no more. You made me whole again. You made me whole again. I don't have to cry no more. Don't have to cry no more. Yeah. You wrap me in your warm embrace.
This time, my problem trying to get out of preparation of prayer is so annoying.
You are my God. You are my King.
Yes, I just put it out. I'm ready to get to my
Generations will pass.
I'm just putting it
Your kingdom will last. Power will overcome your enemies. My Father, I'm grateful that you call me home. Imperfect, I've tried to do.
Okay. Nice thoughts. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to the 2020 Homeschooling Conversations. Thank you all for joining. I was trying to send out emails to everyone that we're already live, and also we are live on YouTube. So let me just paste the YouTube link here. Okay, so we're live on YouTube as well. So let me put my phone on silent. Okay, so welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining. It's an absolute privilege to have you here. I also want to see, I saw that one of our guests is already here. Okay, yes, I can see her. The next person to speak is already here. So basically the homeschooling conversation, what is it about? What is our aim and our goal? So the homeschooling conversations basically is when I started homeschooling, and I did not see, and doing my research, I saw in the US that there was a lot of structure and there was a lot of support that you could get when you're homeschooling. And I didn't see that happening here. So there are people that homeschool in their own homes, but they're not like out there. And there was also no awareness basically about there was no awareness basically about homeschooling. And that was the reason why I started the Homeschooling Conversations, with the hopes that, we'll be able to raise more awareness about an alternative to traditional schooling for people that want to go that route. And also, basically get support, have people, when you come together and you meet other people, somebody can be in your area that you can always link up with once in a while, because, one of the things people say is that, how will they socialize? So if we know each other, we know ourselves, and we're around the area, we can always bring our kids together to play, to go out on adventures and things like that. And because of the Homeschooling Conversations last year, I met quite a number of people, and some people that we went on outings together. And it couldn't have happened if this did not exist. So even me, I'm a beneficiary of the Homeschooling Conversation. So basically, I'll still show you how we can always connect afterwards, so that we will, you can always meet people that are in your area. So the idea is for us to link up and for us to get to know each other, basically. So once again, thank you so much for joining. And we're going to get right into it. But unfortunately, one of our speakers is not going to be available today. So we are going to, well, there's other 4 of us left. So we're going to be talking about all of these things. So the first speaker is going to be talking to us about, the first speaker is going to be basically talking to us about the foundation of education for our kids. And I know that some people here, their children have passed the foundation, but it's also important for us to know these things. Then the other 2 speakers are going to talk to us about their own journey in homeschooling and talking to us about the path that they have chosen, probably why they chose the path. So I just left them. I didn't try to give them exactly what they should talk about, but just letting them share their journey with us so that we'll know that it's possible. And there are people in Nigeria doing it. One of them has 2 kids. One of them has 4 kids. 4. She's homeschooling her 4 children, and me, I have 1. So, but I'm going to be sharing with you basically the way to get started, what we need to do, and things we need to look out for. So, without any further ado, I'm going to try and make our first guest a co-host, and also talk a bit about who she is. Yeah, so let me quickly pull that up quickly. Uh, yes, so Mrs. Anoluwako Akinola. Mrs. Anoluwako Akinola has over 15 years experience working with young children, their families, and creating awareness on the importance of early childhood education. Currently, she's the child care center, currently she's the center director and founder of Extra O Kids Child Care Centers, Surulere and Lekki, where she leads a team providing custodial care and educational services to children under 5 years old, and spearheads the pop-up crèche an off-site center which supports women and families participating in professional, religious, or social events by providing mobile daycare services to them. She's an impactful facilitator and commits to training and mentoring. She also works as an educational consultant, early childhood specialist, and trainer for schools and churches, helping with the establishment and setup of early childhood centers and children's churches in Nigeria. Kitted with the gift of interior design, she loves to design beautiful, child-friendly spaces for young children, and who holds a BSc in zoology and a postgraduate diploma in education. She's an alumnus of Tropical Biology Association UK, University of Cambridge, which also awarded, she was also awarded the Mandela Washington Fellowship by the US government, Dartmouth College, under the Young African Leaders Initiative, and an associate member of the Institute of Training and Development in Nigeria. She's happily married for 13 years and blessed with 2 children. So I met her. I didn't really meet her, but I heard her speak somewhere, and I was like, okay, I need to hear this woman again. That's why I invited her over. And once again, apologize because I'm not a co-host and we're working with limited resources. So people have to manage me as the host like that. I don't have jokes. I don't have party favors or what it's called. So we'll just be straight. Yeah. So without any further ado, let's welcome Mrs. Anu Akinola. Hey. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me now? Good morning.
Yes.
Yes, beautiful morning, everyone. I'm tempted to say good morning, ladies. If there is a man in the house, just wave at me.
We have men.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Usually, where you have early years or schooling, it's always like the majority of the people are
yes.
women. But I always like to give special shout outs, to the men that are always in such
Yes.
meetings.
We are not
Man in
discriminating.
the house, kudos
Everybody's
to you.
welcome.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a real man and for being involved in the lives of your children. We appreciate you. So good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm happy. I'm excited. When I got the invite from Cuddle's blog, I was really excited because, of course, I like talking about early years. I feel that not much noise is made about this age category, which is very unfortunate. So when I get the opportunity to talk about early years, and even if it's not about early years, I always make sure that I chip in that early years. So if you know me, you just must know about early years. So I'm excited to be here this morning, and I'll be sharing my screen, and then we'll just have a discussion. If you have questions, I can take after. Okay, so let me start sharing my screen, and we can move ahead. Okay, so can you all see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so this morning I'm just talking about the early years, the foundation for a good foundation, an opportunity for a good foundation for your children. So I just titled it My Child and I Navigating the Early Years Together. A lot of people think, because I run a preschool, you come across conversations with people that make you know that they have very little information about the importance of early years, judged, of course, by the comments they make and, of course, by their action. You hear some people say, what are they even teaching them in early years? Oh, what's it? Keep quiet, sit down, And even in all forms of life, you see it, play out. You see play out in church. Most people build the adult church before they think of the children church. They provide comfortable seating there. You see play out at home. Daddy has 2 pieces of chicken. Has half it all over where people, don't provide they don't meet the needs or see the importance of early years, the early years development around us or for our children.
So this discussion forum, of course, I said I'm very passionate about it, and I hope that today you'll be able to take one or two things. They are not basically new things, but I just want to reiterate most of them, because I know that a lot of informed people are on this group this morning. However, I just believe that you would gain one or two things, you'll be able to take, or to reinforce, some knowledge you've had before. Okay, so, the early years is described at the age of 0 to 8. Some people say 0 to 6, but basically it can be categorized by the age 0 to 6 and or 0 to 8, pardon me. So in whatever way between 0 to 5, 0 to 6, 0 to 8, we're all still right. And they play a key role, these years play a key role in the adult, the person, the child is going to become. I always, joke with my friends and I tell them, if you want your child to go to Harvard, lay the foundation now. Don't worry, the scholarship for Harvard will come. Just make sure you get the right early years education, and of course, you get a scholarship to Harvard. But that the turn is usually what people dwell on. They will rather think of, how do I save up for Harvard, and then let me cut corners at any early years, thinking that what really matters. If you go to many homes, you would not see, maybe they have young children, you don't see children's spaces there, you don't see that there's enough engagement. A lot of people, not most, but I know some people focus on the fact that, oh, my house has to be speak and span, the decor, the china, and not conscious that child is at the developmental age and part of development. So no touch, a lot of things are going on, and they are depriving that child of their early years. And of course, it will impact on the adult here. There's a quote that says that the first 5 years determine the next 80 years. So how you lay the foundation for your child, it's really important. I always tell parents, guidance, that you are the custodian. You are the custodian of how your child is going to develop or is going to become later in life. You are in charge. This is the season that you are in charge. By the time the child becomes an adult, of course, you are no longer in charge. But this season you are in charge, and you can help that child to have a prospective, positive and flourishing future if you do play your role now that you are in charge very well. So by this time your child is 5 or 6, 90% of your child's brain is being formed. So if you say 90% of your child's brain, what's left? It's just 10%. So it's almost negligible. Of course, that 10% is still important, but 90%, it means that the majority of the work has been done. So it's important that you focus on what is happening at this time, because now, whatever is going to take your child to be able to solve calculus, or to be able to take critical leadership role decisions, or to be emotionally intelligent, those milestones, when your child is going to achieve them, depends on now. So it's very important that you take seriously this age of your child. If your child has passed this age, well, of course, I'll still talk about that along the line. But this information might be beneficial for your friends, for your nieces, for your grandchildren. So it's important that this is the most critical season of your child's life. And it's like I said at the beginning of my talk this morning, that very few people understand, including our government. If you realize preschool, we're put under the Ministry of Women Affairs. And then, I don't know, for one reason or the other, they moved us again and put us under Ministry of Youth and Social Services. They don't consider 0 to 5 as early years education. It's very, very, it's painful, because that's the bedrock of the university system. And if we're having graduates, I do interviews, and I interview teachers, administrators, and a lot of them, when you interview them, you want to cry. At least the people, of course, most of the time, it's usually the shambles. Of course, you have people that are really educated and passionate in education, but you can't compare the majority of the people that are just coming because there's nothing to do, or it's education that will take me, compared to the people that are passionate and really qualified for the job. I remember when I left my job, I used to work as an environmental educator, and and I was the head of my unit with an international NGO at that time. And I said I was going to resign. My boss then was an ambassador. She was a former ambassador. And she told me, what? I know with your, with your exposure, with everything, you want to go and be carrying baby. And I told her, I said, if you have a grandchild, who would you rather have care for that grandchild? Somebody with my exposure, or a nanny that lacks no qualification or experience? And she smiled. She said, yes, I understand. But I feel that you have too much to offer than to go back and doing this. Anyway, that is history. I'm sure now she knows better for, with the results of, of and your child brain is developed by that time. It's very critical, and I want to just follow me closely and look at the critical elements of your child's early years and what you as a caregiver. So when I say caregivers could be primary caregivers, could be secondary caregivers. We're all caregivers. Once you give the responsibility of care to somebody, that person is in the same role as you are. So it's really important for you to choose the people that handle that role for you as support systems. Those support systems could be grandmas, could be sisters, could be nannies, could be teachers, could be church minders, or church children's church, or whatever religious organization, the people that take care of your children. So those are called primary caregivers. And then you as the parent is called the primary caregiver. So when I talk about caregivers, I'm referring to those two categories because they can actually play the same role. Meaning that if a child does not have a primary caregiver that is available, or a primary caregiver that is knowledgeable and is able to provide for the needs of that child at early years, a secondary caregiver can step in and do and effectively play that role. Okay, so caregivers could be anybody that fit into those categories. Okay, so I just want you to watch this video. I just hope it plays. I hope technology does not fail me this morning. It's just a short video, on brain development. I just want you to watch it. It's very short. Don't bother about the technical. Just follow the flow and see how really important brain development is, to your children. I just hope you can get this too.
Oh, hey, I thought you'd have showered by now. I need Vaseline. And you said it was in your room. All of it. Let me see.
Okay. Let's see. Just a minute. Let me see if I can try another means. Just give me a minute, please. Okay, let me go back to my slide. Okay, so let me share again. Please, just 1 minute. Sorry for the breaking transmission. My tab has stopped sharing, so I want to open the slide again. I think the video I tried to share has confused my computer. Okay, it's just a minute, it's coming up now. Just a minute, please.
By the time a human embryo is 5 weeks old, it is just the size of an apple seed, but the brain has already begun to grow. By 8 weeks, the basic structure of the brain and central nervous system are in place. The neural networks are spreading out, and even now the nerve signals are traveling more than 150 miles an hour. At birth, nearly all 100 billion neurons of the human brain are already in place, but the brain only weighs about 25% of what it will later on.
Uh-oh. Was it playing earlier on? Was it playing?
I think you have to remove it from full screen.
Your mic is getting.
You have to remove it from full screen.
Okay, let me do that. Sorry, apologies. So let me just put on my slide. If it doesn't work, I'll just move on.
So you can probably try playing it from here now.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that work before.
By the time a human embryo is 5 weeks old, it is just the size of an apple seed, but the brain has already begun to grow. By 8 weeks, the basic structure of the brain and central nervous system are in place. The neural networks are spreading out, and even now the nerve signals are traveling more than 150 miles an hour. At birth, nearly all 100 billion neurons of the human brain are already in place, but the brain only weighs about 25% of what it will later on. It's about to embark on its fastest growing period, quadrupling in size by the time a child finishes preschool. By age 6, the brain is 90% of its adult size. During that burst of growth, 700 new neural connections are formed every second. As we gain the capacity to smile, around 2 months, to talk, usually around a year, and to dress ourselves, around the age of 3. In those early years, in fact throughout our lives, the brain changes through experience, learning to speak, taking those first steps, understanding colors and shapes, forming novel thoughts. But as certain neurons are used, unused neurons go away. It's a process. By the time a human embryo is 5 weeks old, it is just the size of an apple seed, but the brain has already begun to grow. By 8 weeks, the basic structure of the brain and central nervous system are in place. The neural networks are spreading out, and even now the nerve signals are traveling more than 150 miles an hour. At birth, nearly all 100 billion neurons of the human brain are already in place, but the brain only weighs about 25% of what it will later on. It's about to embark on its fastest growing period, quadrupling in size by the time a child finishes preschool. By age 6, the brain is 90% of its adult size. During that burst of growth, 700 new neural connections are formed every second. As we gain the capacity to smile, around 2 months, to talk, usually around a year, and to dress ourselves, around the age of 3. In those early years, in fact throughout our lives, the brain changes through experience, learning to speak, taking those first steps, understanding colors and shapes, forming novel thoughts. But as certain neurons are used more frequently, other unused neurons go away. It's a process called pruning. And almost anything can shape us in those baby and toddler years. First words, first ice cream, first TV show, first argument, for better or worse.
Okay, so I think one of the key things I wanted you to notice about that video was that he was talking about pruning. So whatever is happening at early years, you are strengthening some neurons or you are killing some. So at early years, 2 things are very important for you to understand. If you don't understand anything about brain development, you don't really need to. But you need to understand 2 key things that at this season of your child's life, 2 things are important. They are called critical or sensitive periods. These are periods that are shaped by experiences. So let me explain. So critical periods during your child's brain development, 0 to 5 or 0 to 6, is a period whereby it's only that thing that can happen. Let me give an example. So when it's a period is critical.
See, the brain has capacity to change. However, timing is key.
Yes.
Study shows that there are windows of opportunities or specific
I didn't want that to play. Just a minute.
For a normal development of certain types of stuff.
Sorry, everyone. I don't know what, I think she needs to sort out a few things.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know. I found it difficult to mute myself, and my computer was not just changing the slides anymore. So I want to stop sharing. Let me just stop sharing. I don't know why I'm not able to do that. Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to play any videos anymore. Let me just talk. Okay, so let me just continue. So I was talking about the critical and the sensitive periods. So in a child's life, there are two of those periods. So the critical period is a period in which that particular thing must happen in a child's life. For example, let me go back to sharing my slide now without video. So for example, vision. Vision occurs at age 0 to 6 months. Okay, so it means that if something is happening to that child at that period, it might not be restored. It could actually cause a permanent damage for that child. Critical period is a period, a sensitive period is a period in which that thing, if it's energized, if it is used, if opportunities are brought, if the child is exposed, that particular developmental stage would be better. For example, language. So it means that between 0 to 3, if you expose your children to, because 0 to 3 is a sensitive period for language development. So if you expose your child to languages, your mother tongue, to English, to French, as much as 5 languages, that child is able to understand and speak the 3. Okay, but if you move away from that critical period of 0 to 3 or 0 to 5 at the maximum, it now becomes very difficult for that child to gain quick mastery of language. So it's not saying that during a sensitive period, when a sensitive period has passed, that the child cannot gain a knowledge of that particular thing. It's not saying so, but it's saying that it now becomes much more challenging. For example, it's easy for my children to learn French and pick new languages now than me. I've gone to Alliance Française. I went myself after secondary school. I spent 1 year. I could not get a hold of it. I was just speaking small by small. I left it. When I went to serve, I served in Oyo State. I went to Alliance Française. I paid my money again. I even did some exams, but I just dropped it along the way. When I started work with an international organization, the French embassy now paid for us. Anyway, right now, I can't say more than ce n'est pas to comprendre. Of course, I'm not saying that it's not easy for me, that it's impossible for me to learn a new language. It's very possible. What it's saying that the sensitive period for me to learn in languages has passed. So it becomes more challenging, unlike young children. So during the early years, we have critical periods, meaning that if the critical period of maths and logic is not laid, if your children do not understand, they have not been exposed to critical thinking, the foundation of maths, you've not allowed them to engage in dramatic play, sound play, all those things, those things that would make critical development easy between 0 to 4, because that's the sensitive period for maths and logic. It now becomes more challenging, for them to solve bigger issues, to even think critically. You understand? So the critical period, the sensitive period for emotional control is 0 to 3. Okay? You will realize that if that child, during that time, there is no secure attachment. So let me explain what secure attachment means. It's the emotional connection, the ability for a child to be able to trust the caregiver, which is developed between 0 to 3. So if a child does not have somebody that it can trust, there is no caregiver, whether primary or secondary, in that child's life that shows love, that when the child cries, can comfort the child, can say, I love you, I hug the child, kiss the child, pet the child, encourage the child. If that there is no person that does that between 0 to 3 for that child. That child is unable to develop is able to develop secure attachment, which is developed at a critical stage of 0 to 3. So when the child, now gets someone that loves him at the age of 18 or 19, that person is not able to respond emotionally because he has missed that milestone of secure attachment. I hope it's a bit clear. So during this period, some things, developmental stages are happening in your children. And if you miss some sensitive or some critical periods in life, it now becomes more challenging. For critical periods like sight, and all that, if you miss it, it's most likely a permanent damage. For sensitive period, it's not a permanent damage, but there has to be serious interventions for that person to be able to turn out successfully. So you understand that during the age of this age, it's really important that we pay attention to what is happening in your children's lives. And for each age, there are different milestones for you to watch. I won't be talking about milestones, but it's important for you to know what is normally expected. Of course, milestone might differ from child to child, but there is a basic expectation at 8 months that you expect that child should be able to. If you know those milestones, you can watch out for them, and if you have any concerns, it's easier to deal with them if there is early intervention than when you don't know what is happening to your child. So information is very, very vital. So just move on. So, like I said, during these years too, as the brain is developing, there's a possibility for ACEs to occur. So what ACEs means is adverse childhood experiences. You see, this is really, really important that people know what ACEs are and the impact they can have on young children and, of course, in the end, their adult life. When ACEs are introduced to children, I'll explain to you what you mean, but when they are introduced to children when they are early, a lot of times they have been linked to life-threatening disease in adulthood. They have been linked to forms of children dropping out of school, not being able, even divorce, dying early, have all been linked by research to ACEs in their early years. So it's important that you know that ACEs is adverse childhood experiences. And what it means, let me explain to you what it means. I just wrote down something so it will be fast. It's a traumatic experience or event occurring before age 18, usually at early years, that have a significant impact on a person's physical, emotional, and mental health throughout their life. Though ACEs increase a person's risk of certain health conditions and behaviors in adulthood, they do not guarantee them. With support, children who face ACEs or adverse events can learn to manage their experiences and lead meaningful lives. But it means that there has to be an intentional intervention. So what are examples of ACEs? It could be poverty, it could be abuse, beating children. We have different forms of abuse. It could be sexual abuse. It could be, parents fighting in front of their children, any form of emotional abuse. It could be nutrition, lack of proper nutrition. All of these things, ACEs come in different ways, but all these things that introduce stress into a child, are called ACEs. At early years, it's very important that a child is not exposed to ACEs because it can determine the outcome of that child's life. So who do you drop your children with? Do they shout at them? Do they call them names? Even though you are afraid to stand up to those people, you may be introducing ACEs to your children. It might be parents. They might not know better, but it's your place and your responsibility to ensure that your children are treated right and that their childhood is not stolen from them. It is your responsibility. So ensure that whoever takes care of your children when they eventually go to school or when you drop them, any form of support systems are aware of how to handle young children because it's a very sensitive and critical stage of their development. Okay, so of course, early years, being the skills, all of them are nurtured at this stage. So it means that early exposure is very key. So if you are homeschooling your children, for instance, you must go the long haul, because you can't afford not to expose your children. I always tell people, they'll say, oh, when I talk about traveling, exposing them, I said, you don't have to go to Paris to have been to Paris. You can do a virtual tour for them. You can plan so many things, you know. You can do a book tour. They can read about Paris, you know, and their imagination is being exposed. It's been, you know, enlarged. So this period is the time, you know, some people feel that, oh, what will they really understand? They do. Of course, you realize, okay, when my daughter was 2, of course, she was in my school. So of course, we do a lot of read aloud every morning. We make sure that we read to them, you know, we do circle time, we do a lot of dramatic play and all, you know, and so of course the teachers will speak in the normal language that they would speak, you know, to an adult, you know. So we converse with them like we converse, you know, use the normal English, talk to them, no baby talk and all. So one day, she of course, at that time, she wanted noodles. She liked noodles as much as I tried to take it away from her. So this day, I promised I was going to cook noodles. And, you know, she kept coming back to the noodles, to the kitchen. She was 2.5 at that time. I said, Mommy, is the noodles ready? I said, almost. I kept saying almost for a while because I was doing so many other things while, you know, trying to make the noodles for her. After a while, she just shouted and said, almost doesn't kill a bird. I was shocked. I said, wow. You know, I wasn't shocked at the phrase. I was shocked at the aptness of, you know, knowing when to use that kind of phrase. You know, so you think that your read aloud is in vain, or you're, you know, talking to children, telling them stories, you know, discussing with them. It's not in vain. You know, their brains are storing it up and they will use it at the right time, I tell you. And if you expose children well at early years, their language development, their cognitive skills, you know, you think they're playing with sand, they are forming math skills. I tell you, you think they're having dramatic play, they're just playing, you know, house, they're playing kitchen. No, they are developing cognitive skills that will make them the right CEO in the future, that will make them the right husband, the right wife in the future. All these things that children do is work, it's not ordinary, it's not play, you know, in the context of what we call play. It's play actually, but the play is the work of children. So as they engage in these activities, they are developing all those skills that will be necessary for their adult life, their successful adult life. And then you see people that are adults that cannot look people in the eye. Something was wrong at early years. You know, there was nobody to help them with, you know, presentation skills or emotional development. We call it presentation skills, but at young age, it's emotional development. How do they deal with their colleagues? How do they solve their problems? When issues go wrong, how do they respond? All these things are handled at early years. Early years really matter. I always like to say that early years really matters. And of course, early years also presents with us opportunities for us to know that all children are different. Every child is special, but they are different. I have 2 children. My mom will always say, Oko Jokon. It means that one is not like the other. She calls them sample material. You know what sample material is? When you go to Aba and you buy something, it can never be in large volume. It will be in, you know, a special size. You can't have it in large volume. Okay, so they're just like that. One is, you know, quiet, you know, the other is extroverted, wants to make so many friends, you know, and they're different, even though I've raised them in the same home. But their temperaments, the way I discipline them, the way I talk to them, the way I manage them, what I expose to them are different according to the child. So early gives you the opportunity for you to know that your child is different and you parent them differently. Okay, so it's important for you to know that they go at their pace. There's no use hurrying a child. You know, I've seen people that say, oh, my child should be writing, you know, at age 2. Writing what? He's not able to pull up his pants and trousers. He's not able to, he doesn't have self-help skills yet. You're talking about writing. How many people can write and are not successful in life? You know, let a child go at their pace. That's what happens at early years. Don't let children be their childhood life be stolen away from them. Okay? So, you know, at that, you know, it makes us realize that, of course, early years has a lot of potentials that needs to be tapped. Okay? Okay, I've really spoken about this. I've talked a lot language guidance, or the parents of the child should be responsive parents. Responsive. You are responsive. Okay? You are responsive. Provide positive affection and warmth. Provide basic needs. Ensure that secure attachment is important. Some people say, you want to raise a baby. Yes, this is the time for baby. Let those attachments form. When they need a hug, be there to hug them. When they are crying, wipe their tears. Let them know that you are there for them. Every child needs somebody that he or she can trust for effective brain development. Otherwise, ACEs will form. And then they become adults that are detached. You realize that you have some adults, they are not lovable. Their husbands try to reach them, they can't be reached. Their children try to reach them, they can't be reached. Something has happened. Some ACEs have been introduced to them when they were growing up. So ensure that your children know that your arms you discipline them, but they know that your arms, they are safe in your arms. So secure attachment is really important for young children. Some of my friends will say, I don't know how to handle it. My children always follow me everywhere. I said, don't worry. After some time, you'll be the one following them. But let them follow you now. Let them know that you are there for them. It's like I always joke that even in the toilet, you see your children. You're in toilet, you escape. They're still looking for you. Yes. It's the time for secure attachment, and they need to do it. So they want to come into your bed. You are wondering, when will they outgrow it? They will eventually outgrow it. But when they need that forming of secure attachment, be not a harsh parent that chases your children away and causes ACEs or causes those detachments to begin to form in the brain, and then the children have problems, okay? Be a model. At early years, they are watching you. They are watching you. Be the ideal model for your values. Whatever values you want from your children, model it as a parent. At early years, those values are formed. I always tell people that this is the time you focus on your children. I'm telling you, the seeds that you sow now will eventually germinate. It might look like you are repeating. Yes, this is the stage of repetition. You will say the same thing. How many times have I told you to carry your plate on a tray? Yes, you will say it. But I tell you, eventually, repetition for early years is going to result to result. I'm telling you, you will see the result. So at the stage of repetition, you are tired, but you need to repeat, emphasize those things now. I hope we're together. Okay. So at home, so how can we do this? Another way is, we said, be responsive. Another way is to create a stimulating environment. At home or at school or wherever, caregivers' behaviors impact children's development and learning. Don't be a wicked caregiver. Don't be a wicked mom. I'm telling you, like people always say, that there are seasons in a person's life. So the seeds of mercy for your children now, so that you will receive the seeds of mercy when they are grown up and you need their mercy. But sincerely, that apart, who you are to children determine what they learn. So if you are engaging, if you are nice, if you are warm, if you listen, children can learn better. So I ask this question: does shouting help children, to change? No. Positive engagement does. When people ask me, how can I stop shouting at my 2-year-old? I start to ask them, what do you know about 2-year-olds? If you understand 2-year-olds, you know that some things are typical of them. It's not by shouting, it's by understanding who they are and then engaging them at their own level. You will see a change in behavior. So knowing who your child is, at what stage your child is going to help you. It's not by shouting. So knowing how to engage your child, knowing the milestone, knowing what is happening at that time, would help. Okay, so like I have a 10-year-old daughter. My last child is 10. And I noticed that, as she started growing, all of a sudden, she's always very soft. She's always very soft and teary, And I was wondering what's happening. She's not usually the, teary type and all that. You know, she's not usually the theory type and all that. You know, then I started noticing that she was going through developmental stages. So some things were happening. You know, we're getting ready for, you know, the monthly kind of thing. Because, you know, I started noticing that her boobs were coming out, you know, a lot of things, hair in the pubic region. It was affecting, those hormones were also affecting her as a person. So, you know, and of course, we started talking more. We started, you know, she wanted more hugs. Unlike my daughter is the kind that she'll stand at the door. You know, she's very hard, you know, the kind of color. But I noticed that as her body started changing, even her emotions, she became more softer. You know, she wasn't the crying type. Now everything, oh, mom, no, she comes close to you. Can I get a hug? And I'm wondering, my daughter, saying, can I get a hug? She's not that type. So you must understand the stage, what's happening with your child, then you will know how to address it. Corporal punishment, I don't know. It depends on you, but I will say something. There's a thin line between punishment or discipline and abuse. Make sure you are not crossing the line. I'm not going to tell you how you are. I can advise you how you parent your child, but the ball is still in your court. Okay. Almost done. So how do we do this? Another way is to, okay, we're still talking about creating a stimulating environment. So if you provide children with lots of imaginative, explorative activities, you will activate the seeking system in their brains and make your child have an appetite for life, for curiosity, and the drive and motivation to make their creative ideas into reality. So what it means is that what you are doing, what you are exposing your children to now is going to inspire their appetite for success. I'm telling you, what kind of exposure do you give your children? It's really important. The books they read, the places they go, the schools they attend, all that are part of creating a stimulating environment. The people you keep them with are all part. Sometimes you think, oh, it's too expensive, but I'm telling you, you are paying for a cheaper future, as in terms of costs. Lay the foundation now, and you realize at the end of the day, in your home, as they are growing, invest, you know, in making their space inspiring, colorful at their age level. You understand? You will realize what you are doing is you are activating the seeking system in their brain. So another thing you can do, of course, is good nutrition. We cannot overemphasize it. We cannot. They always say that the first 1,000 days is critical to a child's life when it comes to nutrition. First 1,000 is from conception to age 2. So it means that if your child is going to be healthy, whatever that child is eating, from breast milk to all those meals that are eaten until age 2, are the most critical times in your child's health when it comes to nutrition. So make sure that child is eating balanced, that you are not just feeding, you know, just one thing. You are not just saying, I do not have the time, because all this, you know, remember I tell you that that's the time the brain is developing. Don't be a noodles mommy, like we call it at school. Don't be a noodles mommy. Don't be a pap mommy. Make sure that even if it's pap, it's fortified. You know, that the food that your children eat, you are making a commitment to making it healthy. The importance of nutritional balance cannot be overstated when it comes to enhancing your child's mental capacity. In Yoruba, they will say it's what a bird eats that the bird uses to fly. So it's what your child eats that he will use to be successful. Shikina, that's just it. Breakfast is very important. Many children do not know how to eat breakfast. Please encourage them, teach them. It's very important. Make sure it has enough calcium. Don't worry, we're not going to nutrition, so I'll just move on from there. But food is really important. Then another thing is that you need to do is, of course, introduce extracurricular activities. Some people just feel, maths and English. You know, in our curriculum, they say, is it only play? I say, play is the work. That math that you are talking about, that English I talking, they will learn it. But what is going to help them to learn the math and the English is, of course, all these extracurricular activities. I remember at one of our summer schools, I had one student that came in, not as a student, but just as a summer school student. And, you know, the parent told me that she had been struggling, you know, academically and all that. So I told them that I would use the summer period, of course, to observe the child. I noticed that she was, whenever we had dances, all these art classes, she was really out in the open. But immediately we get to maths, English, she just withdraws, you will not notice that she's in the class. So I advised the parents that after this summer, I want you to go a step forward and look for a dance school or a skating school or a gymnastics school that you will see the impact on academics. At the end of the term, so they took my advice and they did that. At the end of the term, her academics went drastically up. They saw a drastic change in her interest in her schoolwork because she was being engaged in extracurricular. Somehow, there's a link between the two. So because she enjoyed what she was doing, it was easy for her to engage properly in the classroom and she got better. So introducing activities like music early, of course, helps to build early math skills, enhances your child's intellectual development, promotes higher academic achievement, reduces stress levels, reinforces language mastery, and of course, future reading. Extracurricular activities we cannot talk about it enough. Expose your children. In fact, I tell people, they ask me, how much? I said, as much as you can do. Because when you spread them thin at early years, you are exposing them and giving them the opportunities to discover who they really are. So if they do music, they do eventually they realize that it's not music. And then you introduce them to art. And then you introduce them to, what's it called? Baking, sports. You move on, you just spread them thin. This is the stage to spread them thin. This is the stage to spread them. This is where you can really develop. And let me tell you, all those skills that they are developing, they are picking, they might not be best in them, but they're going to use those skills to be a best at something. So make up your mind that you're not going to raise ordinary children. That money is not the factor. It's your decision to make up your mind to raise extraordinary children that will count when you're raising your children. There are a lot of things that it's not about money. It's about your decision. So expose your children early. So many things are free online. Expose them early and you will see the results. Of course, physical activity. During this lockdown, you can imagine how emotional children were. People did not know that children also could have mental issues that adults have. We locked up children for months. They could not go out. As a parent, I hope that you found a way to engage your children. You found a way to make sure that they still engage in that physical activity. Look, it's one of the critical things for brain development. When children run, they need to run, they need to climb, they need to jump, except the child has underlying issues, medical issues that, that does not allow the child to do some extent, but of course that child should still be exposed to physical activities. It has been said that children who are encouraged to have physical activity are better able to manage their emotions, cope better with stress later in life. So if you have a grumpy friend, nudge that friend and say, did you play at early years? Yes. It helps mood. Some people don't play. I have a friend, anytime we go out and we see swing, slides, she say, no, please give me some time. She will go on all the slides. Said she missed that at early years. And so anytime she sees it, that desire to still slide, to still swing is still what she wants. And so she plays like, because she felt deprived as a young child. Play is important for children. I can't say it enough. There are different kinds of play. It's very important for children. It's not ordinary. I want you to know that it impacts greatly in who your children become as adults. Exposure. I think I've talked about exposure. Another way is by books, by travel. They might not go to Paris. They might not go to Walt Disney. Let them go to Abeokuta. Let them discover how the beach looks. Talk about the beach, the rocks. Take them there. Let them discover, different places. Expose them. And if you have the opportunity, nothing does it like international travel. It will expand your children's mind. Let them not just go on holiday and be shopping. Take them to the museums that we do not have here. If you don't have there are a lot of virtual museums online. Expose them. Let them see these things. Exposure is very important at early years. I'm telling you, at early years. At early years. If you are, I don't know if I can just chip this in. If you are homeschooling your children, I encourage you to run a thematic curriculum for them. Okay? During informatic curriculum, I realized that things help children. So if you say that this week or this month, we're going to talk about oceans, you will think they don't know. As they talk about it, you know, I had the child in one of our schools, and then eventually they went to the US on holiday. We had done a thing on oceans for like 2 weeks. I'm rounding up now. For like 2 sessions before. She was much younger, but we always do that thing for a whole term. That's like 3 months. So it's usually very extensive. So we had done that thing on, you know, ocean life and all that. So they traveled like 2 sessions after and so the mom called me and said, wow, that you can't believe that they went to a large aquarium in the US, and that the way her daughter was just talking about the ocean life, you know, all the sea creatures inside, you know, the human beings inside, what their names, what are they doing, you know, that her cousin that lives in the US was just saying, what school is she going? How much are you paying? You must be paying a whole lot. And that she was just laughing and saying, we're not paying much, that they owe us. And I said, it's very good that you know that they owe us. That like almost 2 years after the theme had been taught, that her daughter was able to talk so much extensively about it. You know, so if you can do that as when you homeschool your children, to be really good. So the ability to forget, to discover, and not natural aptitude is very paramount. When you notice that your child has a gifting, please expose it as much as possible. I'm telling you, if he needs you to relocate to an area where that thing is, you know, being propagated or being, you know, please do. Please do. Please do. Don't deprive your children. There are lots of ways that people are being deprived. Don't deprive your children. Watch those giftings, nurture them early. Okay. The last slide I have is that the experiences that happen during early years influence greatly how successful an adult is. Parents play a big role. You, as a primary caregiver, you are the number one cheerleader of your child. You are the number one nurturer. You determine the adult they become. I'm not saying that with intervention, they will say that in Yoruba, if they didn't born you well, you can reborn yourself. But I tell you, it's more difficult. Give your children the leverage that they don't have to reborn themselves. They just have to keep being an improved version of who they are. Thank you for listening. I'm open to take questions. I'm done with my slide. Thank you for sharing.
Please, are we clapping? Are we clapping? Now you understand, after listening to her, why it was very, very, very important for me to even listen to her again and bring her here, because I've listened to a lot of early years things and stuff. I've never heard it. Based on my research, this is what I believe, and this is what I've come to understand about early years, but I've never seen somebody say it as accurately and as passionately as I've listened to her say it. So I'm really glad, you know, that she brought the same energy and the same passion here for us today. And I'm sure that you guys can testify. Yes, we're seeing comments. Yes, thank you all for the claps and all. So if you have any questions for Mrs. Anu, please drop them. We have 2 questions now. The first question was, somebody said, you said that there's a thin line between punishment and abuse. Someone said, what's that thin line? What's that thin line? So maybe we could do that first.
Okay, so let me answer that question. See, you know, what's the essence of punishment? I think that's what you really want to look at. You want that child to be able to change in behavior, okay, and have better outcomes, right? Okay, so the thin line is actually why are you beating that child? Do you understand? What's the intention? You know, a lot of times it's transferred aggression. I just came back from traffic. I'm very tired. That's when you choose to pour a glass of water on the floor. Like our mothers used to do. Or my own mom used to pull your ears like this and then why at your back. It's brain reset. Anybody can spill a glass of water, right? You understand? So, including you. You get, including you. So really, what's the purpose of the punishment? Why? Is it because you are stressed? Is it because you are angry with the dad? You know, then you transfer the aggression to the child. Or is it because you really want to correct that child in love? So, you know, but a lot of people they cannot define what's the purpose of that punishment. Why am I giving it? Do I have to cool down? What if I cool down? What if I'm in a better mood? Will it change how it is delivered? Do you understand? I always say people, the hand that you used to love to cuddle should not be the hand to beat, even if you must beat. Children should not see your hand that is supposed to be a touch of love, should not be a touch of abuse. So determine what kind of punishment you want to give to your children. I know some people say, advocates, I know some people come for my neck and say, yeah, I'm not supposed to beat children. I beat my own. I have cane for them. But that is me. You understand? I will never abuse my children. I will not beat them inappropriately. That's me. You understand? So determine what it is. I will not beat them with my hand because I see my hand as a space of love, a space of nurturing. But my children know that when they need a spanker, they will understand the purpose for that spanker. After that spanking, we will still hug each other. In fact, my son is 14 years old. He's going to be 14 next week. Sorry, 13. Sorry. I'm confused with my wedding my wedding anniversary. Anyway, my son will be a teenager next week. And, you know, he does something that I wonder that I don't have this, you know, I'm envious of it. If you spank my child now, do you understand? He will still come back to you, even at 13. Do you understand? I think it's a good relationship we have. That even after the argument, I don't like what you did, or he doesn't like what I did, I'm telling you, the way he flips, I wonder, can I even do it? When I was young, I would beef my mom, I refuse to eat. But my son doesn't do that. You know, he understands that, oh, that season, I've said I'm sorry. You know, you know how, I don't know, I have that guilt thing that when I've done something wrong, even my husband says, maybe the next morning, and I'll say, I'm sorry about yesterday. My husband says, you're sorry about what? He can't even remember. He has moved on. Me, I still have that guilt going on. Maybe I picked it at early years, you know. I still have that guilt, you know, but they are quick to move on. You understand? So, you know, create an atmosphere of love for your children that even when they are wrong and you discipline them in whatever way is best suited. I see people that spank their children. I tell them I'll call social worker for them if they do it again. I'm telling you, they beat them in all manner of their body. You know, a doctor in our church was telling me one day that they had a case in their hospital. The man beat his child and the child died, as in real death, as in death. He died. In front, they had two children in front of the other child. Now, this man is a man that does not beat his children normally. So this child, I don't know, maybe the devil was invited to their house. So if you know that you have anger issues, spanker should not be in your house. You understand? All those kind of things, you should not even go near it. What did this man beat the child for? The child was rude to the mother. All these children, they attempt all those kind of things as they grow up. You will not take it. You understand? You know how to stop it. So this man was angry and beat the child until the child fainted. They got to the hospital, the child died. Now, you can imagine this, the trauma for the younger child that my dad beat. The wife was crying that this man does not beat them normally. I'm the one that beats them. But this one time has led to death. So that's why I say it's a thin line. No? In fact, if you are going to beat your child, let the child be able to say, in my whole life, my mommy beats me like 10 times or 5 times. If possible, if you can manage it, don't. Because I tell you, if you know how to discipline your children effectively, you might not necessarily need it. So if you have anger issues, please deal with your anger. Don't transfer aggression to your children. Discipline them in love. If you're angry, cool down. Say, I will talk about this with you when I'm in a better mood, okay? So I think that's how I want to talk about it, yeah.
Okay, so next question is, what can I expose a child that likes to instruct or teach? Like, what can I expose the child to nurture that? If your child likes to teach or instruct, what can you do as a parent to nurture that for the child?
That is a born instructor, a born teacher. Of course, the first thing is expose that child to knowledge, because if you're going to teach, you have to be knowledgeable about what you're teaching. So just keep exposing that child to different topics. Start running themes with that child, because let me tell you, the opportunity for that child to talk, to teach will come. She doesn't have to practice to know how to teach because it's her innate gift. What she needs to know is content, because some people have the skill for teaching, they have no content, there is nothing they are saying, they open their mouth to teach. Information not available. You understand? So expose that child to as much as possible. Start running things. Decide that in this year, every month we're going to learn about this. So write it out for that child. So start learning, maybe videos, it may be travelings, it may be books, but make it very fun. Oh. Don't make it like it's school work. Oh. You understand? Don't say, write 1,000-page essay. You understand? So if you are going to talk about ocean, you say we're going to play beach, about the we're going to pretend as if we're going to the beach. So in your house, you can all dress up, you wear beach hats, take pictures. You're not going anywhere. You now get bathtub, splash some water, you know. So you just, what I would just advise now at that stage is the opportunity for learning, for teaching, for instructing others is going to come. You will see. As her friends come near, she's going to teach them. But the first thing you should focus now is what is going into her brain. Are you building the capacity so that when the opportunity comes, is apt? Do you understand? The children that get speaking engagements on world stage is their information. When children speak and you put it on social media and everybody's looking for that child, it's not because do you know how many children are speaking and nobody's looking for them? It's what that child has said. You understand? Yeah, so focus on building the capacity for that child.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take some more questions. How do you balance play and learning? When does play get too much or too playful?
Hey, you've asked the wrong person. You know, I'm an early year specialist. For us, play is never too much, except, of course, it comes, there's harm's way. Maybe the child will be, you see, even that harm's way, girl, let me tell you, a lot of parents are helicopter parents. Let me tell you, sometimes when your child falls, it helps them with resilience. They know that life is not a platter of gold. Some people don't want their children to fall. 4 nannies must follow one child. Whoa, you are building danger for your child. You will see that you have adults that have no resilience. They have no elasticity because they've never been injured in life. Do you understand? They've not climbed a tree. God forbid that the leg will break. We pray that it will not be a danger that is, or a harm that is irreplaceable. Do you understand? But if it's broken hand, it will repair. You know, I always pray that angels are always on guard on my children. I'm very spiritual about, you know, as I take care of them, I also take care of the spiritual aspects. That angels will be there. That, you know, there won't be, but don't be helicopter parents. For me, as an early year specialist, I don't believe that plays too. In fact, we don't do enough. If we look at the Nigerian context, we don't do a lot of imaginative play, things that will help children bring to be awake, to be alert. You understand? You wonder why people in the advanced country, they think that way. It's what they've been exposed to at early years. You see early years that they do science projects, they go to the farm, they do nature, you know, they do all manner of things. And you're wondering, what is all this? It's play. Okay, if it's not play, is the child going to work in a bank? You ask children 2-year-old, hey, my neighbor's child can write 1 to 50. For what? This child does not even know how to feed himself. He can't pull up his pants. You know, understand that when I use the toilet, I flush, I wash my hands. There is no self-development skills, no self-help skills that has been developed. You're talking about writing skills. Is it going to work in bank? Or is it going to be counting your money for you? You know, so there's time for everything. This is the time for play. Look for opportunities for your children to play. If you don't have toy, bring out your pots. Let them drum. Bagang. Yes. You know, you can create, it's not about the money. It's about your desire to create what is best for your children. And let me tell you, when you start for them, you will realize that they would continue the process themselves. You will realize that they're very innovative. Children that have quality areas are usually not bored. They can create plate for themselves. You understand? So except it's going to be something dangerous, you know. I'll give you an example. I went for a fellowship at a time with Dartmouth College. Dartmouth College is like Harvard, it's an Ivy League. And so we're like 40 students in my class. So, you know, these things that we do in, what's it called? NYSC. That you climb all those ropes, you know. So they put us in groups. The ropes were like 4-story building. So you're going to climb like 4-story building, but that tied so many things around us that if you fall, you will not hit the ground. That rope will pull you up. I had a colleague in my class that told me, Anu, I'm from Ghana. My village people have said, how did you get to America? You will not come back. We thought he was joking. But do you know that he could not explore? His mind could not just allow him to explore. That's what happens when you raise children in fear. You will say, no, my sister died in the beach. My sister died in car. They can't go on an excursion. You hear some parents that say, oh, I've heard that when they take children to excursion, they have accidents. Some people, they went to the beach, water carried them. Why are you still driving? Do you know how many people have died in driving? Don't raise your children in fear. Expose them. You know, pray over them. Let their angels be active. Expose them. I'm not saying put them into harm's way. No. But let them live a life. That's what I mean. So when I went for that fellowship, it really changed my mindset. I didn't know how to swim. They took us to a lake. So on that lake, you climb up. Then we had life jackets. Then they will ask you to jump from the top of that hill into the lake. So our instructor, but you had a life jacket. But in my mind, I say life jacket. What if you fail? You know, Nigerian mind, everything can fail. My mind was saying, Anu, Omo Meji, I have to do that. They are still young, go. You know, I was just. But our instructor, he had one was a 5-year-old, one was 7-year-old. They came with us. They would just come, they would climb the hill. They would just jump into the water. And I was saying, me, and I'm taking care of children. And when I get to, I'll now tell my children, you can do it. You can do it. How will I tell them I did not do this? That's how I did it too. Even though I went to heaven, I came down. But what happened at that time was that I looked at those children. They had no fear. I'm telling you. They were going kayaking, they were swimming in lake. They had no fear, but they had the life skill. They could swim very well. I'm telling you, they have developed life skills for them such that they can't entertain fear. Let me tell you, those are the people that have good business acumen. They are the people that grow international organizations because they've been repelled of fear. They have no fear. Us. Hey, don't go near water. Oh, your village people have mommy water spirits. My word is don't raise your children in fear. Expose them.
Okay, so the final question is, my 7-year-old is a reader but does not want to do schoolwork. Anytime it comes to it, it shuts down. How do I go about it?
Okay, so I don't know how the schoolwork is being presented. So, you know, children have different learning styles, and you must understand that. Some people are visual learners, you must see. Some people are kinesthetic learners, they must move. You understand? Some people are, what do I call it? Tactile learners, they must touch. You don't have some children that will tell you, I like your hair. If they don't, they have to touch it. If they're talking about something, they must feel it in their hands. That's how they learn. So you must understand, you must find out what is the learning style of your child. You understand? And present those learnings in those manners. See, every teacher or parent must understand that one size does not fit all. Do you understand? We most times put a square in a triangle hole and be squeezing, fighting. It will take ages for that square. You can fight it, though. Eventually it will enter that triangle, but you will see the holes there, and it will have taken a long time. Why didn't you look for a rectangle that will fit, or a triangle that will fit into that triangle? So discover what learning style, you find them online, your child is, you know, try to watch that child over time. What inspires that child? What does that child like to do? How does that child respond? You know, and then present that learning in that way. Do you understand? So if you don't think that it's the same way, that's why if your child is going to a good school, you realize that most learning are presented in all the different kinds of learning styles, so that if the child does not like to see it, he can hear it. If he does not like to hear it, he can sing it. If he does not like to sing it, he can touch it, you know. So your child has a preferred learning style. If you discover it, yeah. That's one. Two, the other thing is that discover what that person really likes to do. And if it's writing, encourage that writing and let them know that, of course, if that person wants to be a good writer, he must also be successful in his academics. So how can you do that? Expose him to people that have, have done well at their writing skill, won Nobel awards. You know, you can even do go through their biographies, you know, make it fun, let him know that, you know, they did very well, they won many awards, but there was a process, you know. So some things we like to do, some things we really don't like to do, but we need to do them. So if he has a model that he can have in one of those people, you could also challenge him to know that, you know, it's like a footballer too. Some people like to play football, they are very gifted, but they don't like academics. But, you know, they know that football has lifespan. After football, if you didn't go to school, make sure you have made enough money, shall you understand? For you to remain relevant. So they should, you know, so there's a way that you can help your child to be able to love learning by presenting it in more interesting ways, or in ways that that child understands to be called learning.
Okay, that's the final question that we're going to take. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I saw your comments. God bless you, everyone.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, so let's move on. So, like I said, we're going to be sharp, on to the next. So the next speaker we're going to have is, we're going to have Toki. And I don't know, I don't want to murder his name. So please pardon me. So I'll just say the one I can pronounce. Maybe you help us pronounce it properly. Okay, so I'm going to read his bio for us. Toki holds a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Port Harcourt and a master's degree in petroleum engineering from IFP School. He's happily married to Tominsin and they live in Lagos with their two lovely daughters. His family began the exciting journey of homeschooling when they were unable to find a classical Christian school close to where they lived. Watching their daughter flourish while not going to school has convinced them to commit to homeschooling for the long haul. And they are active members of the growing homeschool community in Lagos. Toki loves to read anything by C.S. Lewis, Brandon Sanderson, and Orson Scott Card, and loves the Ender's Game books of their masterful exploration of what it means to be human. When he's not at his day job, he's either reading a new book, listening to music, or serving in his local church. So Toki was part of Ike. I met him. I didn't really meet him, but I met him at the last homeschooling conversation. And after that, we formed a Telegram group and stuff. When it was on the group, I thought it was a female. But I later met his wife and his daughters, and we went out for, we went on an outing together. So that's one of the beauties of this. That's one of the beauties of this, is that, you know, community and meeting new people. And so he's here today to tell us about their homeschooling journey. They are classical homeschoolers, so that we'll know that there are different paths to homeschool. So he's going to tell us. So let's welcome Toki. Let me unmute him. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you.
So, good morning, everybody. Afternoon, good morning. Thanks, Tommy. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to share, and hopefully, someone will be inspired by today. So, very quickly, I'll just talk about how my family got into homeschooling. It started with a random chat with someone, a homeschooler, and he was explaining why why his family homeschools. And what he said actually made a lot of sense. So I decided to, read more about it. So I asked him for recommendations. So he recommended a number of books. So I started reading them and started thinking about it. And I learned that why the school curriculum is the normal school curriculum is designed for the average student. So you're supposed to be at this point in math, you're supposed to be at this point in English, you're supposed to be at this point in whatever they're learning. But there's no child that's like that. A child can be very good in math and his English is struggling, and so on and so forth. So it's not that the child is behind, it's just that is how the child is. And the term for this is called asynchronous development. And this is a normal way, children are. And I was thinking about it, in primary school, I think because my mom used to buy a lot of books for us, so we used to read a lot. So my English was really good, but my math was a mess. So, but a child that is good in English or good in math and is struggling in some other areas is forced to stay in that class. So back in the day, when people used to repeat, if you fail math, you probably repeat primary 1 or repeat primary 2. But what is supposed to happen is that you're supposed to, cater to the child, meet the child wherever the child is, and the average school cannot do this. And there's one book I read, it's a novel, it's called Understood Betsy. And the Elizabeth, the titular character, she had moved from her city to a village, the American book. And so she had to attend like a one-room schoolhouse where everybody was learning everything at the same time. And so the teacher said, okay, so you join the 7th graders in reading, or you continue to practice with the 2nd graders in math. So she was very confused. She was like, am I not supposed to be in the same class at everything? And the teacher said, and I quote, what is the use of reading your little baby things too easy for you just because you don't know your multiplication table? And so it's important and a normal school cannot have that flexibility to cater to each child individually. And so homeschoolers believe that one-on-one attention and an individualized education plan produces the best education possible for any child. And if you think about it, student-teacher ratio is usually a thing of pride for schools. So they're like, our student-teacher ratio is 7-1. So because the smaller the number of students assigned to a teacher, the better a teacher is able to pay each one individual attention. And so how much more when you're having one-on-one attention to a child, and the person that's teaching that child is the person's parents that cares the most about that child than anybody, in this world, that is very invested in the child's success. And so, these are things that me and my wife were thinking about. But we're not really convinced. So like our schools have been here for long. You cannot just come and say, I want to start doing homeschooling and say, why do you want to reinvent the wheel? And so, but we learned that, the way the schools are have not always been like this. And so this idea of, schools that are classes grouped by age, led by a single teacher, the way we are, there's no sound, principle to it. So apparently the history is that it originated in Prussia. Prussia is a German state in the 1980s, and so they had lost the war against Napoleon, but they were to ease transition into the army from a young age. So they decided to arrange children in age and assign them to a single squadron leader, and so to ease transition into the military. And so a secretary of education in America went there and saw it and copied it, and that's how it became widespread. So your children are in classes grouped by age, not because there's any sound science or educational principle to it, but it's because they just copied some people that were to transit people into the military. So it's just like an assembly line that just carries people. And so when they're in classes, they learn to defer to the authority that is there. They learn to stand in lines. Like in the army. And so that's pretty much what it does. And when I come out early morning, because I was staying very far from my work, at 5:45, I'll see children. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
We can hear you.
Okay, I'll see children in traffic, sleeping, I'm like, my children cannot, I don't know, I didn't have any children then. I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, but we have to find a way. The children will be sleeping, you see them when you're going back from work, you see children in the same traffic. So just, it was just very somehow. And then other issues like, the way the curriculum is, they're still using typewriters to learn typing, stuff like that. And as far as I was concerned, junior secondary school was a waste of it's a waste of time. I'm sorry, And weirdly enough, okay, this is an aside. In Uganda, their O level is actually 4 years. So their secondary school is 6 years, but their O level is 4 years, and the A level is 2 years. So they use 4 years for junior secondary school. And if you remember our parents back then, their secondary school was 5 years. So a lot of time, there's a lot of time being wasted, in junior secondary school. So I was never really a fan, but I didn't really know what to do until this idea of homeschooling came up. And then final thing that was the issue was the way children, I said, my nieces and my nephews, the amount of homework they used to bring for them, a lot. I said stuff that that the parents, they're just giving the parents, work to do, because you're like, I said, what is it? Why my child cannot do this? What is all this? So I said, my sister will be running up and down. Can you print this? I said, they will be for hours doing homework. I said, toddlers. And so I was hoping that I would see a school that, incorporated that, had the type of ideas I was looking for, but it did not. But I not really checked that much. But when this homeschooling idea came up, I now started considering seriously considering it. But then the other issue was, the F word. So we're beginning to tend to move towards homeschooling, but like the F word, we're like, socialization. I think, will my child be a weirdo? Will my child be a serial killer? So because when you get to homeschooling, you're thinking, these children are. So if you see somebody that is socially awkward, it's just is this person homeschooled? So we're very worried, about that. But then, we now said, okay, let's see if we find a school that would what do you call it? That will do the kind of things that we want to do. And also about that time, we're still learning about classical education. So like, let's look for a classical Christian school. This was because the classical education, it arranges learning according to the stages of a child's development. So so at the beginning, when children just want to memorize, you're giving them facts, they're learning their grammar. When they start arguing with you, when they are when they're getting older, when they're like they're 10, when they start arguing, you're now teaching them logic, thinking skills, what is called critical thinking. And then towards when they're getting older, then is what's called the rhetoric stage. You're teaching them how to express themselves eloquently in writing and speech. And so it kind of makes sense to us, but we don't really think we wanted the school to do this for us. But we kept checking. The only one we saw was in Jos. There was one in Ibadan, in Oyo State, where for the secondary school. There was one we saw in Lekki, but they never updated their site. I called them, I sent them an email. So probably the school they never responded. So probably the school did not really take off. So we're left with the decision to homeschool. And so but we're still worried about the socialization. So we started, talking to a lot of people that were homeschooling. So how we found them, I'll just search Google homeschool Lagos. We'll check here, check there, go to Instagram, check a hashtag, and slide into their inbox, talk to them. A lot of people we talk to if you're in a so random. We're just calling up random people and talking to them, and somehow we said we're now becoming more and more convinced and relaxed about the whole socialization thing. Because like one book says, it says that children need friends, but children do not need to be surrounded by large group of peers who inevitably follow the strongest personality in the crowd. The question for any parent is, do I want my child to be like his peers, or do I want them to rise above them? And so when we keep thinking about this, talking to people, realize that, like the Bible says, foolishness is, so I'm a Christian, the Bible says foolishness is bound in the heart of a child. So when you gather children all together, the socialization that is happening, they are learning to be more like themselves. The right socialization, because at the end of the day, the socialization, it wants students to be able to talk to express themselves, talk to, for example, if you're going for job interviews, you need to be able to talk to people that are like older than you. So the kind of socialization that our mind is like, we are thinking about socialization, is not the type of socialization that is really found in schools per se. It happens, but it's not unique to regular schools. Let me put it that way. And so a lot of us, most of us, even not all of us, went to regular schools, but a lot of us are still socially awkward. And so it's not school that makes that, that school is where you must have socialization. And so we now decided to homeschool. But the question now was, what do we now do about how do we go about the homeschool? What philosophy do we use? So we started thinking about different ones. We considered some of them were like, this was not, I don't agree with the underlying assumptions, so let's just forget about them. There are some that we really liked, but we thought that we did not really have the they don't really have the experience, number one, or the environment. So, for example, if you're living in a town and you're supposed to be going on nature walks, which nature are you going for? Everywhere is, everywhere is paid. So stuff like that. So we finally settled on, classical education, and the more we read about it, the more we became convinced that it was a really beautiful education for a child. And so what we learned about it is that, a lot of times people, for example, people's grasp with the Nigerian system is outdated, it's stifling, the child is not creative. But we learned that in a classical view, education is not primarily about gaining vocational skills. It's not about, as in right now, the buzzword is coding. Everybody, your child must code. It's not about gaining vocation. It's not primarily about gaining vocational or professional skills, but it's about the formation of the individual. CSW says that the purpose of education is to produce the good man and the good citizen. And the good man here means the man of good taste and good feeling, the interesting and interested man, and almost the happy man. So education is actually about the type of person that is being formed. And not necessarily about the vocational skills he has. Those things are important, but their training is different from education. And that's really what classical education is all about. It recognizes this. And in words of there's this book I read by Cheryl Swope, she says that she defines a classical education as a formative education designed to incline the child towards truth, goodness, and beauty through the liberal arts and sciences, guided by the great literature, art, music, and ideas of all time. And so the cultivation of wisdom and virtue, as in what do you need to know, as in how should you act, what's the right way to behave. And the virtues can be a lot of things. They can be moral, they can be intellectual, they can be physical, they can be spiritual. And so it says the classical education achieves this cultivation of wisdom and virtue by an education in the liberal arts. And so the liberal arts are, I'm sorry, I'm talking fast. The liberal arts are, it's from the same word that means, liberated, as in to be free. And so it's the education through which a man learns what he needs to become a free and thoughtful citizen. And he says classical education seeks to liberate students from the bonds of ignorance and vice. And so this liberal arts is as opposed to what is called the several arts. So if you're learning to be a doctor, so things that have an end, so you're learning to be a doctor, you're studying engineering to construct things. But the liberal arts are concerned with how on making you into be a thoughtful person. And so the liberal arts, there are 7 of them. Quick summary, the 3 of them are concerned with language. They're called the trivium because there are three ways. And the other 4 are concerned with mathematics. They're called the quadrivium, 4 ways. The trivium, okay, I can talk about that later. And so, like I said about the stages of a child development. So the trivium, the 3 liberal arts, the first one, they are the grammar, the logic, and grammar, logic, and rhetoric. And in the same way, there are subjects. There are also stages of a child's development. So, like I said, in grammar stage, children are just remembering stuff. So you say something to your child, and the child just 3 weeks later, the child, children are like sponges. They're just, getting as in anything you tell them, they remember. And so you're focusing on remembering things. You're teaching them facts. They may not know how to use it, but teaching them a lot of facts and so on different subjects. And so when they get to the logic stage, which is also a subject, they begin to think abstractly, and your focus is on thinking. And in a rhetoric stage, your focus is on presenting your ideas eloquently, and where they continue learning facts and thinking critically. So these are 3 subjects, but there are also stages in classical education. And so that's pretty much it. Our hope is at the end of the day, we want our children to gain mastery of grammar, logic, and mathematics. We want them to express themselves beautifully in speech and writing. We want them to have knowledge of astronomy, music, and the arts. We want them to read the great works of Western literature. Most importantly, we want them to live fully according to how they were created in God's image and likeness. And so so we have 2 kids. One is going to be 4 next month, and one just turned 2. So what does it look like in the early years? And so it's pretty much the same as what Anu talked about. And the foundation is movement, music, and manners. So you want children to know about music and literature for their soul, and also want them to run about a lot because they need their bodies to develop. And this whole idea of learning through play, it goes all the way back to Plato. So it's not something that is new, but even as far back as those days, thousands of years before Christ, Plato was recommending that children should learn through play. There's a lot of time to do the other stuff. And so our school day typically takes 45 minutes to an hour. So we pray, we read. Right now to do is that we pray, we read a Bible story, we're in Genesis now. We read a book, we talk about the book, we do an activity, we color, we sing, we pray. So we're also talking about manner. So this week we talked about what did we talk about? We talked about telling the truth at all times. We talked about taking care of your property. We talked about not going outside the house without an adult. So stuff like that. So you're trying to, in that, you're concerned about what kind of person that this child is becoming. And so in the rest of the day, the children are just playing. We just allow them to play. In the evening, we also, so every day we ensure that we read to them outside of school time. And somehow they're just, so my youngest is just, we just allow her to play. But somehow she's picking stuff from her sister. She's picking stuff from what they're telling her. She knows her alphabet. She knows her colors. She knows her numbers. But we've not really sat down to say, yeah, check 1, 2, 3, 4. But she just knows because you're talking. They're just learning stuff as you're just living life with them. That's a better way to put it. And so our older daughter, so before, people that used to worry about our homeschooling, the whole homeschooling thing, they stopped talking because if you see my daughter, you will not even know, it will not even cross your mind that she's homeschooled. People ask, what school does she go to? I'll be like, oh, she actually does not go to school because she's very outgoing. When her mates are around, she's the person that's organizing them into games. And so, she's learning stuff. We went out that day and she saw it because she just remembered that we had read it was Peter Rabbit. So like, that's Peter Rabbit. It's a very naughty rabbit. So stuff that we had read a long time ago. And so she's just, and the more you talk to them, the more they are talking back to you. And she's just developing. And so that's pretty much it. As far as materials go, so we use a box curriculum. We do not, there are people that can gather things around, gather things and form their own curriculum. But well, we felt like it was a lot of stress. That's number one. Number two, we feel like when you're starting, you want to follow the person that knows the road. As time is going on, you want to you'll now start branching out on your own and making a curriculum work for you. So but there are a lot of suggestions you can get if you want to build your own curriculum. But we're not doing that. So we now start reading a lot of reviews. I think Google is your friend, and then we finally got a list of these are the possible curriculums we want to use. Some of them really love them, but the price was really high. Other ones, so we now settled that to about 2, and then we started talking to different people about it. How did you find it? And funny enough, I saw someone that someone that stays in Lagos that uses one of those curriculums. So I started it up. We talked, and we decided to use it. And so it's really good. It just tell you everything you're going to do. Day one, you do this, say this. These are the answers. And so then you now start working around it. And so there's a lot of literature we're always reading to our kids. So about our challenges, our main challenge is community. You don't really know a lot of people homeschooling, but somehow that's sorting itself sorting itself gradually. There are more people that are talking about it. Tommy is one of them. I've met some more people that actually using the exact curriculum that we use. So you can bounce off ideas of them. You can gather together, have a hangout and so on and so forth. Have hangouts and so on and so forth. Our other challenge is initially we were discouraged by comments from people. Right now, now that we're seeing it working, we don't really care. But the first time when we had not tried it, people kept on saying, don't damage your children, you will turn your children into imbeciles. Somebody will say that you turn your children into imbeciles. But now they are seeing that this thing is actually working. Everybody is now coming down. And then the issue about the curriculum is that you're living in Nigeria, you're using a curriculum that is in America. So you have to schedule yourself. You have to ensure that you ship it on time. And since it's booked, you have to come by sea. So you have to sort out the logistics by yourself properly. But so what we do is that we try to buy 2 years at a time. It's a bit of money, but it helps us pace ourselves. So that for 2 years now you have curriculum. So we're committed for a number of years now. But a number of friends now have been talking about, okay, so how do we make it cheaper? How do we share books? How do we, so maybe you're buying only the disposable stuff, but you're sharing books and so on and so forth. So it really brings the cost down. And then, it's not a challenge per se, but you have to plan your life around homeschooling. So for example, we have help at home because so I go to, my wife works for herself, although she took a break, but she cannot be doing everything and still be homeschooling. So we have help at home. when you're looking for a house, when you're trying to move house, you're asking, your children have to run around. There's nowhere they have to run around. So asking yourself, so you're asking yourself, is this space big enough for our children to play, and so on and so forth. So you kind of have to plan those things if you're homeschooling. Also, we become a lot more outgoing because the children are not going to. I mean, church is it's socialization, but I want them to have friends in addition to. So we become a lot more friendly with other families that are homeschooling. Other families that are not homeschooling but have children our daughter's age, so they can have friends and they can share. So that's pretty much it. But I think last thing I was going to say is that everybody, you don't have to homeschool to apply the principles that homeschoolers are using. There's an author, her name is Susan Weisbauer. She said every involved parent is a home educator. So as long as you're concerned about your child, you're helping your child in his homework, you can apply doing their homework, your children, you can apply these principles. You can read a lot of good books to them, a lot of books. So I know two of my friends, they're like, this makes sense, but I cannot homeschool, but give us the book list. So they bought the book list, two of them, and then they just read to their children in the evening when their children come back from school. You can teach your children a lot of history, and and the main thing about classical education, you want to cultivate wonder and wisdom in your child's life, and all the things that have been said before can help you. They want your child to be eager and curious, and even when your child goes to school, you can do all these things, play with your child, talk to them, and they will begin to. So they can be curious people that want to learn and I want to keep learning about the world even after school. So that's pretty much it. If there are any questions, I would like to answer them.
Hey, thank you so much. Very quick and sharp. Thank you very much for the enlightful session. Okay, so we have a couple of questions. Let me see. Okay, no. Is there a standard curriculum for homeschooling? Not really. Do you have any classical questions for Toki? We'll address that standard question. Let's see again. Please, can we get your, okay, so they want curriculum, maybe links or something, or where they can get curriculums.
Are you asking me?
Yes, the one resources.
Okay, the one we use is called, my wife is telling me I'm talking too fast. But the one we use is called Memorial Press. Okay, so their site is at www.memorialpress.com. And so there are other classical curriculums, there are other homeschooling curriculums that are not classical also. And like I've said, there are people that build their own curriculum by herself. But the one that we feel that is really good for us is called Memorial Press. We love their book list. We love how it is structured. And their support is a lot. There are a lot of forums where people talk about it, and their customer support is really good. So we plan Memorial Press, and we plan to stick with it for as long as we homeschool.
Okay. So I've typed in Memorial Press on the Memorial.
Yes.
Not Memorial. Okay, sorry. So do you have any other questions for him? Do you think Montessori school offers same benefits? Do you think Montessori offers the same benefits? Yes.
Well, I'm not a Montessori expert, but I feel so. There's the issue of and you can feel free to push back on this, but there are two things. So there's the issue of content. So you can use the same content for whatever method you are, but there's also the issue of the philosophy. So my understanding of Montessori that is more of a child-led type education. It's more of the teacher is more like a guide on the side. But classical education assumes that the teacher knows more than the students. So they say it's guide on the side as just a sage on a stage. So classical education is more of a sage on a stage type of education. So it assumes that the teacher knows more than the child. The teacher is impacting on the child. The teacher is helping the child to understand what it means to be a human being, what it means to be a decent person. So, and also as my understanding of Christianity is that children are wonderful, but foolishness is born in the heart of the child. So the child will not just wake up and learn English. So somebody has said that child-led and Montessori, they pull the child in the way so they're saying, no, you have to lead the child, but they're also pulling the child in the direction they want. So I feel like you can use the content of classical education in your Montessori style. In the early years, you're just allowing your children to play, but as you go on, you want the teacher to actually try to, make form the child. There's actually more of a direct authority of the teacher over the child, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so most of these questions that I'm seeing when in my session, a lot of the things in the session we answer all these questions is why I'm skipping them. So does anybody else have questions for Mr. Toki? So, sorry. Okay, so how is your child responding? So how are your children responding? I think you addressed that, but yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, I can say it again. I mean, she can just both of them will just go and get books. So they love read. Well, they cannot read yet, but they love being read to. So they'll get books and bring to you. They can, you read to them. They learn the song. So, and it's just an issue of repetition. So last year when we started preschool, so we're not really trying to teach her, but she learns the Lord's Prayer. She learns Psalm 23. She learns, a lot of prayers that we should start with, because you're just reading it with them and they just pick up this stuff. So she's really responding well, and we hope to, to continue for as long as we can.
Okay, so how do you handle people around who are skeptical?
Well, initially we used to be afraid. Not afraid. Initially we used to feel bad about it. So later, but people that know us and know our children have stopped talking about it. Mm-hmm. But people that do not know us and it comes up, we just tell them, well, there's no hard and fast rule to it. We don't plan to homeschool for a long time. If we see it's not working, we are going to stop. And they're like, okay. So it seems to satisfy them. So I feel at first you want to explain, you get into arguments. But lately, we don't really owe anybody an explanation. Hey, it's your life and your child. So I just give them an answer that they feel satisfied with, and we move on. Okay,
so last question: how do you balance your careers? Are you both involved in daily practical requirements of homeschooling?
Okay, so my wife is what she does is a lot more flexible. She's an interpreter, and she took some time off after she gave birth to our last child. So my wife I'm kind of like the headmaster, for lack of a better word. So my wife is the primary. So she's the person that does the homeschooling most of the time. And then, but if I get back from work and we are not, it has not gotten done, and I'll do it. So like now that we are home, I'm the person that has been doing it. Yeah.
Okay, so how will my child be able to write GSE exam and BSc? Okay, we'll talk about Nigerian laws and all of that. We'll talk about that in my session. Okay. So yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much for enlightening us about your process and how you went about it. And everyone is they're commending you on the comment section for being very involved and for being involved and for being, actively involved, basically. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So based on what we are talking about, we have some things to give away that are relevant to the things that we're learning. So the first 10 people that joined, because Mrs. Anu talked about nutrition and she talked about nutrition and how nutrition is good for our children. So we're giving out samples, and we're giving out 10 samples from Machi Foods. They use they're elevating the use of Bambara nuts in Nigeria, and Bambara nuts is supposed to be not supposed to be, it is like a complete food that you can always give your children and stuff. So Tosin helped us to assign numbers to everyone, and I have written it down. So, but for the first 10 people, we have that. We also have some math books for ages 5 to 6 and 7 to 8. Well, just one each. And we have like something like this, is like it's a scrapbook. It documents your child's, like documenting like your child's book till your child's milestones rather, till they are old. And we have this book. We also have customized pillows from the Pillow Talk. Then we have 10 sessions from Kumbi's music. We talked about music and how it's important in the early years. So we're giving out 10 sessions. Then we have some crafts box and material from D's and Crafts. We have a consultation from Treehouse. So she's going to be holding one parent's hand through their homeschooling decision. So she's going to teach you. She's a homeschooling mom, and now she has her early years certification. So she's going to be hand-holding you and giving you a consultation on how to basically, make your choice. Then we have a gift from Gift Merchant, and then I'm also going to be giving out a craft kit and plastic animals to somebody. So we're going to have our first I don't even know how I'm going to do this yet. So I've written out the numbers. I just wrote out the numbers of the number of people. So I have 76 here. So we'll get the names of the people from Tosin. So we're going to pick out, I think we have 2 sessions for the giveaways. Let me be sure. We have 2. Yes, we have 2. So we're going to give out how many now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so we'll pick 7 numbers now. Yes, I don't know, my sister would to win the book. The document children might please her. We are going to randomly pick. The only thing that we're going to give out to the person that commented the most or interacted the most is the 10 sessions, the music sessions from Kumbi Music. The most interacting person that is going to win that one. So all the numbers are here, and I wish I had somebody else to come and pick for me, but hey, we're gonna pick. I must not open this door. My son will bolt in. So let's pick. Maybe Tosin can help us with the names of the people. First one, we're going to pick 7 now. Number 11. Whoever is number 11. No, it's going to disturb us. Number 11, number 7. Tosin, can please help us with the names, though?
Yes, please. I'll help you with the names, but just call all the numbers out.
Okay. My husband wants to pick. Okay. I picked 28. Yeah, pick the remaining. No, it's going to disturb us. Number 11, number 7. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 27. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. 22.
Come.
I'm using my phone.
Come on.
Number 1. No, it's not about how early you joined. The early people are going to get something else. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the last one, number 10. Okay, so we have number 28. No, my sister will give us the names of the people. She documented everybody's number. So Tosin can help us. We have number 28. We have number 28. Number 10. Yeah.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please. Number 28.
Number 28. I'm sorry, I might not have the surnames, but I'm pretty sure. So I documented with the names that you came in with. I think some people changed their names while they came in, but we should be able to figure out, you know. So for number 28, we have Oby. Unfortunately, I couldn't really get all the surnames.
So 28 OBY.
Yes.
Number 10.
Number 10, we have Oge Okonkwo.
Oge. Okay. Number 7.
Number 7, we have Lois Leke.
Number 1.
Number 1, we have Adeshola Lajuwomi.
Adeshola. Number 11.
Number 11, we have Olamide.
Olamide. Who's Olamide?
Yeah, that's
Number 22.
Number 22, we have Olawumi.
Olawumi. Please, if you are, please let me know. Number 27.
Number 27, we have Funto.
Funto. Oh, Funto Ayila. Yay. Yay. So you all are going to win something from us. Yeah, so thank you very much. So Elizabeth, sorry. No. Number 27 is Funto. Okay, so you guys are going to win something from us. But if you are the first 10, don't worry. You have something from us. But please email me or send me a DM. For your gifts. You're going to get something from us. So, yay, congratulations to the winner. And let's move on. So our next session is from Linda. Our next session is Linda. Let me get her bio. So someone that was asking for that you have 3 children. So you have 3 children and you have 3 children. How are you going to do it? Linda has 4 kids and she homeschools her 4 children. So ask her all the questions now. Okay, she will announce the name of the first 10 in the next session. So let me get Linda's bio. Okay. So Linda, I don't know if I name exactly with Linda, but I'm coming on, sorry. Can't remember where she sent it to me. She sent it to me. Sorry. If you follow her on Instagram, she's a creative mom, I think. If we don't come first, I don't win. I don't know. So, okay, Linda's bio. Her name is Linda Dapo Adeni. She's a homeschool mom of 4 lovely boys. She's a school curriculum developer and homeschool instructor. She has an educational training in creative arts. A special interest is stimulating creativity in children and also encouraging creative approach to teaching. So one of the things that attracts me so much to her page is how beautiful all her crafts look. They look so, they look so beautiful. And for the life of me, as much as people think that, oh, Tomi is a G, I'm not a G when it comes to DIY and fine crafts. So let's welcome Linda. Let me find her here and give her the privileges. Yes. Please unmute. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear you.
So thank you for having me. I'm so excited. And this is my first time on something like this.
Thank you so much.
So I'm honored to be here. So I'm a homeschool mom, like you said, and then I homeschool 4 boys from age 8 to down. So I have 4-year-old twins. I have 6-year-old and 8-year-old. So I started homeschooling around 2017. It was really tough. It's not something that you just tell someone to just go into, but by God's grace, I had to ask, God, is this really what you want for me? And then I have a partner, my husband, that encourages me. So sometimes I just doubt myself, like, can I actually do this? But the whole story started when we have this a family friend who actually comes maybe every other weekend. So she comes and
sorry. But your audio is cracking a bit.
Hello.
Your audio.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but it's cracking.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So my journey, I'm just trying to let you know how it all started. So can you hear me now?
It's still cracking.
Hello.
The network, I think it's the network.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
But I think the network is cracking.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Someone said you should try turning off your video to see if the audio will work better.
I should. Hello? What did you say?
You said that maybe you should try putting off your video to see if the audio will work better.
Okay.
So try going ahead now. Let's see.
Okay.
I'll
try to find the options. I'm still looking
I'll do that for you. Let me see if I can do that for you here. Okay. Try now. Let's see if it will be better.
Okay. So hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Hello. Okay. So going back to my story of how we started. So I have this homeschool mom, a family friend of mine. She's telling me about homeschooling, and I could see the results from her daughter. Her daughter was like, I think 4 at that time. She was just so exposed. Her intonation was just so superb. So I used to admire, the daughter and how much she knew at that age. So she would just come and the mother would just like, okay, fine. Why don't you try to homeschool your child? I was like, I don't have any experience or anybody doing it, so just still new at that time. So I was still pushing it back because my kids were in mainstream school at that time. So along the line, maybe like it took me like when my son started homeschooling, the first son, it was like 6 At that time, he was in primary one. So something happened when he was in mainstream school. He actually had an encounter. Although before then he was showing signs of low grades, the professor would call me and tell me maybe he has to have extra classes, his performance is low and all that. He doesn't do his homework and just so much report, but they would take him, and so I was really bothered. But what changed the whole thing was for us was when he came back home one day and he told my husband was saying something. He was like, okay, fine, you did something great. Oh wow, you're so smart. My husband was shocked. By the time he said what he said, no, I don't think I'm smart because my teacher said so. I was like, wow, this is it. So my husband was like, okay, fine, we are going to listen to what the family friends, maybe we should try the homeschooling and see how it will work. So that's how we started. The first year was really, really rough. And then, the second year we started picking up. But my creative side actually helped me a lot because I had to channel all the energy into creating the environment, giving them, making it fun, because I always emphasize on having fun while kids are learning. That's very important to me, and it has been working for me. So that's how we started up to date. My kids, my first son that had a very low performance, he just started picking within 3 or 4 months of homeschooling. The younger ones, the twins, we were like 2 years, that's when we started. And I started taking them on numbers, alphabets, and before a few months, they knew their numbers, they knew the alphabets, because I was consistent. Every morning we do circle time while I engage the older ones. We take another room and I'll take them on circle time separately while the other ones are engaged. And once I'm done with the twins, then I'll go back to the older ones. And that's how we're doing it consistently every day. So I'm really happy that we chose this path. I don't think we're going back to the mainstream ever again. My eldest son was even telling me that,
Linda, sorry. The network is really bad and people are finding it hard to hear you because of the cracking sound. So someone is suggesting that you log out and log in again, or do you have another internet service provider that you can use?
Maybe I can change. Let me see if I can change the position and then log out and log in.
Okay. Sorry about that. We can't really help the network. I mean, it can be frustrating. So
yeah.
So while she sorts that out, somebody asked what is circle time. So basically, circle time is just it's not the fan, it's the network. Somebody is asking what is circle time. So circle time basically is a dedicated time that you have with your child, where you sit together and where you sit together and you think, you read, you talk to them. So it's supposed to be a non-distracted time, kind of, that you sit in it. So it says circle time because you are sitting in a circle, right? So basically that's what it is. You can decide to do whatever. So people do, like, they pray at that time. So if you're doing that in your homeschool, but when you're in school, they do that to talk about the weather, talk about the time, talk about sometimes they even talk about the news happening in the world and things like that. So, but for your homeschool, you can do whatever, basically, because it's your homeschool, right? So you can sing, pray, dance, read to them, read to your children. So basically, it's just a fun time coming together. So people use it as a structure, as a way to start go into the homeschool. So it's a structured time. So when your child knows that, oh, you do circle time, they know that, okay, this is a time. After that is for school. Yeah. So what age is appropriate to start homeschooling? As young as whenever, 0 years old. As Mrs. Anu has said, the early years is very critical, from 0 to 7, 5, depending. People have different school of thoughts, 7, 5, but as early as possible. The important thing is that they have an interactive primary caregiver. That's just the most important thing, is that they have an interactive caregiver. I don't know. She has logged out, I think. I don't know if she's back in now.
Ask if she has friends.
She should try earphones. Yeah, so, okay. I don't know if she has not. Let me see if I can message her. Yeah, I don't think she has logged back in yet. I can't see her. So, but I'm sure she would log back in. Yeah, so is it advisable to homeschool just one going to two? As long as you is something you want to do, and the most important thing for homeschooling is commitment. That's the most important thing. It's not that this year you're taking them out to homeschool them, the next year you're just pushing them back in. You have to be considerate of your child as well. You have to be considerate of the different environments you're pulling them and putting them back. It can also mess up with them, because at that age they are also very, very sensitive. So you have to think about it properly. There's no age that is too big to homeschool. People homeschool to the university stage in the US. And I've seen a couple of people, well, I know at least I've read of somebody in Nigeria that only entered university, didn't go to school at all. The person was homeschooled to university. So it's possible, but it's just you as a person ensuring that you are committed to the process and you're not dilly-dallying with your child, because of course they have emotions as well. And yeah. So yes, I don't know, she has not. Okay, so how do one get a curriculum? So we'll address all of that in my session that's coming up. I don't know if, I don't think she has joined back again. And I would have really loved for her to really tell us more about her process, especially that she's homeschooling 4 boys. But okay, so I think maybe low here we're learning is as replacement for regular school. Okay, so so maybe I should, okay, she's joining now. Let me just admit her. Okay. Sorry about this, everyone. By the way, if you're in Ibadan, can you please signify if you're from Ibadan? We have a gift for somebody that is from Ibadan. If you're from Ibadan, just want to know. I can't find her. Okay, I've seen her. Okay, Linda. I can be from Ibadan if you didn't. No, we want people that are really, really in Ibadan. If you're in Ibadan, please let us know. So that it's just you, we know that we're giving you the gifts. Yeah, okay, so welcome back. Please, let's hear you, maybe we can see. Can you please
hear me?
Yes, Claire.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So should I refresh or where did I stop?
It's cracking again, no. So someone said maybe you should use
Hello?
Someone said maybe you should use a hands-free because it's not clear again. I don't know. Oh, wow.
Hello.
Hello.
This is the only device I have right now.
Wow.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Boys.
No. Hello.
Wow.
Hello.
I can hear you, boys.
Hello. Still cracking.
Yes.
Hello.
No, this is not good. Hello.
Hello. Wow. Wow. Hello.
Hello. It's still cracking.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And there's a lag. Network. So.
Hello.
So someone was suggesting.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
Mm.
Someone was suggesting that you should, if you can please do like a video recording for us of what you're going to tell us so that we can,
okay.
Then maybe we'll share it afterwards because you know that what you have to say is very valuable and there are people that want to hear because, so we'll share it afterwards. So please do a video recording for us, please and please and please.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's sad. Okay, so so she's going to do this.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, hi Linda, do you have a fan there? Is there a fan on? No, because there's a lag. There's even a lag. So she's not hearing me. That means she has network issues. Okay, so let me find her again. Do you have a fan there, Linda? So if you have a fan, that can also be the issue.
Hello?
Do you have a fan? Hello? Hello?
Hello, I have a fan, yes, but I moved away from there. I'm just moving all over to see. Hello, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it a bit clear?
It's still cracking.
Yours is also cracking a little. I think it's network.
Yeah. So if it's network on my end, I'll crack on my end and she'll crack on my end. So I think that the solution will probably be you doing that video for us. Then we'll share to everyone. Can you guys hear me clearly? Please let me know. Can you guys hear me clearly? Okay. Okay, so they can hear me clearly. Okay. So Linda, please, what we're going to do is that we are going to please do a video for us. I really do not take your time for granted, but
okay.
Yeah, so please do a video for us because someone has already asked a question on how she can, do it with 3 kids and things like that. So we really will be valuable to them. So unfortunately, the network is really messing up. So. Okay, so I think that because of the network, and unfortunately, there's so much you can do about that. So we're going to move on to my session. Yes, so if you have questions for her, please leave the questions for her so that she would, when she's making the video, she would address those questions and I will email it to everybody or put it on the YouTube page so that everybody can access it. So if you have any questions for Linda as well, please leave it. And one of the things she said is that her first child was becoming not confident in himself because his teacher said so, and they had to start homeschooling. So they were already in a traditional school before, they were already in a traditional school before she started homeschooling, and she started homeschooling 3 years ago, which was 2017. So if you have any questions regarding that, please. Managing one kid is a lot. Yeah, so please. So people want to know how you're doing it with 4 boys and all of that. So yeah, always you can leave the question, we'll get to it. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to share my screen to share my slides with you. What I'm going to be talking about is basically the process to starting your homeschool, right? And yeah, so let's get on to it. Okay, can you see my screen? No, our children are from 8 downwards. So can you guys see my screen? Okay, yes. Okay, I should read my own bio. You guys. Okay, my name is Tomilola, and my name is Tomilola Olatunde, and I'm a homeschool mom. I have my bio in this slide. Let me just share it. Let's just go ahead with it. Okay. So, basically, yeah. So my name is Tomilola, and I'm a homeschooling mom. Now, unlike everybody else, one of the things that I found when I was doing a lot of research about homeschooling is that you hear that most of them are early years experts. They have this thing, but I'm a mom, and I'm just passionate about my child's education, right? And I also, about me, I studied computer science in school. I love reading. I love watching movies, and yeah, basically. And I started a blog and an Instagram account where I share my process of homeschooling, which got a lot of people interested. And like I said at the beginning, the reason why we started this is because I felt I needed support. I felt I needed to have more people that were doing this. And also we heard from Mr. Toki that's one of their own challenges as well, finding support and finding people that were doing the same things as you. So basically, I'm not an early years expert. And the reason why I'm emphasizing that is because you see it a lot. We might not see it a lot in Nigeria, but we see it a lot if you're researching the US and stuff. People that homeschool, they'll just say, oh, I'm an early years expert. I used to be in school, kiniko. But just to let you know that we can do it, right? And everything that I learned, everything I'm going to share with you today, I learned painstakingly from research. I learned from also interacting with other homeschooling families like we are doing here. So that's how I learned. I joined a lot of webinars, a lot of conferences abroad. I try to just join anyone that I can to be able to learn something of how these things are going. Then I can't see your comments anyway. So my point is that you can do it. If homeschooling is what you want to do, you can do it. It is not just you don't need a special degree. You don't need a special degree. You don't need basically you can do it. That's just the bottom line of it. Like there's nothing too special under the sun that we can't learn. Now, I don't call myself my child's teacher. I don't call myself I don't call myself that. I don't call myself a teacher. And I'm sure my friends that know me, every time they say, oh, tell me you're doing this, you're doing that. And the truth, and that's exactly really how I feel. I don't feel like I know everything about homeschooling. I don't feel like I know everything about teaching my child, because in our everyday life, we are learning together. I am learning with him. I'm learning alongside him. And that is how I can even be able to do this. Right before we start each week, there's a lot of things that goes on. I am also learning about it that time. So it's not as if I have it from anywhere, right? So the idea is that you can do it. Yes, we might all need some hand-holding, we might need a curriculum, we might need whatever, but we can do it. So let us not uninvite ourselves from a party that we are already invited to. Sorry, I think I did something. Okay. I need to be sure that the screen is showing properly. My slide was not loading well, so. Okay, so can you still see my screen? Page was load. Why is this thing not loading? Should have downloaded it. I'm so sorry. Okay. Yeah, so can you still see? But it's still on the first page. Please, what can you see on my screen? I just want to be sure that. Share screen. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to be sharing. Sorry, I shared the wrong screen. Okay, yes. So I was saying that you can do it. And when we say things like, there's a popular quote that your child is your first teacher. You are your child's first teacher. It puts a lot of pressure on us. It puts a lot of pressure on us to know things before we impact it to our children. Yes, we know things as per, we know the right from wrong, we know the morals, we know all of those things. But I mean, when we're talking about, oh, I'm teaching my child about oceans, or I'm teaching my child about this thing, and you know zilch, nothing about oceans. So saying that I know that the premise of that quote is different, but that puts a lot of pressure on us to be the knowledgeable one, to be the one that knows it before I can impact it. But I want us to open our minds first to look at it as you learning alongside your child. So even if it is the morals, even if it is the thing you want to impact on them, even if it is Bible teaching, even if it is whatever you, first of all, you identify what you want to teach them, but then you now learn alongside them. You can always learn it the day before you are teaching them. That's the absolute truth. So let's take the pressure off. Let's take the pressure off and know that we can do it. There's this quote I gleaned from a blog: when learning is connected to living, it is meaningful. It is not something that occurs at a certain time, a certain place, with certain people. It occurs all the time, everywhere, and with everyone around us. So first, take the pressure off and change how we see it. How we see education, how we see teaching our children, how we see ourselves teaching our children. Let's take the pressure off, first of all. Then we can now go to how then do we get started with homeschooling? How then do we get started with homeschooling? First things we need to know is that it is for the long haul. Knowing that what we are doing is for the long haul is very, very important. And then when I mean long haul, I don't mean like maybe a time frame. I mean that you have to stay committed to it. So you cannot or you should not say, okay, this month I'm starting homeschooling. By next month, I'm tired. Yeah, sending them off back to school or sending them to school. Then the next month, I'll be like, I don't like what they are doing there. Bring them back. I always try to give grace to people as much as I can, but the truth is that we have to think about the children that are involved in that back and forth process. So while you would want to do that and say, take the child to school or take the child to somewhere else, but you have to stay committed to it. So even if you are tired, you are allowed to be tired of it and saying that I don't want to do anymore. But don't the next month now say, come back. That's not very good for the child. So, and at the end of the day, what we want is the best interest of the child, right? So it is for the long haul, and might not be, but stay committed as long as you're committed to doing it. So if you want to do it, stay committed to doing it. It's in the everyday, it is in the starting and going along and starting and going along. And if you are tired of a particular process, you can always change it. But don't go yo-yo with the child all the time. Then the next thing is be on the same page with your spouse. Be on the same page with your spouse. It is very, very important that you're on the same page with your spouse, because you don't want, being a homeschooler is hard enough. You don't also want the emotional stress of somebody that is not in line with you, questioning your judgment, questioning, why don't we send them to school? What they are doing, is even this thing, is even that, and you have to deal with that. It is, and I know that there might not be a lot of supportive people, and there might not be men like Mr. Toki, but the truth is that there are also men like Mr. Toki. There are also men like that. So before you embark on the journey, please ensure that you're on the same page with your spouse, because you want to align. You're talking about the things you are going to be educating your child with, telling them how they are going to lead their lives in the future. Because as we said, it's also part of the foundation, the things that we teach them, things that they get knowledge about. And if your spouse is on one end telling you, oh, this 2 years old, why is he not writing? You are not on the same page. And you are like, no, he doesn't need to write yet because these early stages, he needs to play. And why are they playing too much? Why is this one song? Go read your book. You get all those kind of things. So ensure that you're on the same page with your spouse. You have conversations about what their education was like and what your own education was like. What are the things that you do not want for your children? What are the things that you liked about your education? What are the things that they also liked about their education? Ask those questions in having a conversation about homeschooling. What's your mission and your vision for your homeschool? That's very, very important. So your mission is your why. Why are you doing this? And your vision is going to be your how you are going to do it. So that comes into the different philosophies, which we are going to get into. The different philosophies, the ones you want to adopt, the ones that you believe in, and things like that. So it's important that you have those conversations so that everybody is aligned, right? So this is a sample mission statement that I got from crazyhomeschoollife.com. So the Twine Family Homeschool Mission: to raise children who understand their worth as members of our family and the community, to raise children in an environment that fosters learning to every opportunity, to graduate driven individuals who are capable of conquering any challenge that comes their way. So this is a sample mission statement. So whatever it is, then you now find a philosophy or a curriculum, a philosophy basically that aligns with this your mission for your family. There are different philosophies. There are some that might not align with this particular one. There are some that will align with it. So you find the one that aligns with it, Then next, the laws of your country. Someone was asking earlier that, if your child is, how will they write GS3 exam and all of that? So I put on the list the laws for the countries of the people that registered in case. So in Nigeria, we don't necessarily have a law against it. We don't have a law against it, and we also don't have a law for it. We don't have a law that says, oh yes, every parent is, we still have a long way to go in Nigeria. And in the US, they are more structured. I think that they just even brought in the law in about 1993. But every state has laws, and it's legal to homeschool in the US, but every state has different requirements of what you should do or what you should not do. Some states require that you bring in, you make sure that you submit your report or submit something every month of how you are doing, progress report and all of that. And in some states, they'll send somebody to your home to come and check you and see what you're doing and all of that. So I put in the ones I found. In Ukraine is legal. They have a law. I think it was about 3 years ago or so that they made a law that it was legal to homeschool. In Gambia, I'm not sure. In Ghana, there's still no law against it as well. But there are people that homeschool in these countries. So know the laws of your country. But for Nigeria, I always say that you know how far you're willing to go. Would now inform how you plan it, right? For you only require to write exam to enter GS. You only require to be in a school to write exam for entering GSS class. You necessarily don't have to be in a school to write WAEC. You can register as an external student for WAEC, and that can help you get into university. So for Nigeria, depending on how far you are going. So if you're going the long haul and you say that, oh, they are going to still GS class and all of that till they get to university, or if they're going to enter in GS class, know that you have to enroll them in a school for primary 6, even if it's going to be an agreement with the school and say, okay, my child will just come and register with your school to write the exam, right? So that's very important to note. It's only GS class that you have to be in a school to write the exams to enter GS class. But as for university, you can be an external student to write it. So just keep that in mind. So how far you're willing to go will determine, what you decide to do, right? So let's go to educational philosophies, and we're going to zone in here because this is what will determine the path that you take. So there are different educational philosophies, and to be honest, it can be very confusing, essentialism, all these things, but it all boils down to these things, right? These 3 things: teacher-centered, child-centered, and society-centered. So every approach, right? Every approach that we will go into now is rooted in these philosophies, in these 3 philosophies. Teacher-centered, like now, for example, I think, classical is part of the teacher-centered philosophies. Montessori is a child-centered philosophy. And there's society-centered. Those are the ones that are all about raising children that are fit for the society, so those are the philosophies around that. They'll just be talking about, for the future of this country and all of that, we have to raise them from this blah 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 blah. So that's what the educational philosophies are about. Sometimes it gets confusing for me as well, which is why I didn't go into details of each of them, but they are all centered around this: teacher-centered, child-centered, society-centered. So now we're going to go then. That's for the educational philosophy. Now, as a homeschooler, you have to dig deep within yourself. What do you believe? What's your belief? Now, this is not a place to tell you, this is the right way to go, or this is how you should go about this thing, because there are various approaches to it. And we are all individuals, and we have the things that we believe in and the things that we don't believe in. And the beauty of homeschooling is that you have the right to choose. You are flexible enough. If not, you will just kukuma go to traditional school where they will tell you you should go this way, right? So the idea is that you can decide the philosophy behind what your homeschool is about. There are Christian families, there are Muslim families, there are people that don't even believe in anything, but their approaches will be different. So you can't just say, go this way or go that way. go the way you believe, right? So every approach that we're going to look at is rooted in one of these philosophies. And every school as well, every school that you see is rooted in a philosophy. So even if your child is in a school, you have to also find out the philosophy behind what they are doing in the school. Does it even align with what you believe? You know, those are things that you also need to put in mind. Then next, another thing you need to, I think Mrs. Anne touched on this, is learning styles. What's your child's learning style? You know, there are different learning styles. There's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, verbal, social, solitary, logic, and a combination of some of these things. So you have to understand your learning style, your child's learning style. You also have to understand, even you yourself as the mother or the parents, you also have to understand your own, because you are going to be learning these things before you impact it onto your child. So you also have to learn your own learning style, your own teaching style too. You know, so keeping all these things into consideration for your child. But I also want to say that, especially when your child is still very little, is do not label too early. Don't label your child, oh, yes, he's a visual learner. But then because you now think that, oh, he's a visual learner, you now just keep doing visual things. Whereas the child might have evolved, right? Because they are ever evolving, especially at this stage. Their brain is on steady growing. And they will have things that they tend towards. But that doesn't mean we should not make room for the other styles, make room for the other interests. Like Miss Anu said, that, you know, expose them to a wide number of things so that your child can be interested in cars, for example. So because of that, I'm also guilty. My son likes cars, but every toy I buy is a car, right? But I also don't try to say, oh, because of that, everything I'm teaching is about cars. No, but you introduce him to a lot of other things, various number of things. Same with the learning style. If you notice that your child tends towards something visual, doesn't mean that you should let go of doing music, for example, or saying that they should learn through music, or saying that they should learn to, as they keep growing, they will now choose what is best for them, or what they feel that would, you know, be more effective for them. So ensure that you would know it, that this is their primary one, but just ensure that you don't label too early, so that you're not just stuck in one box, like, oh, this is how they should be, right? So next, so we're going to talk about the different approaches that are available. So we have the traditional approach, we have the classical approach, we have the Charlotte Mason approach, we have the Montessori, we have Waldorf, we have unschooling, we have unit studies, which is also theme-based, and we have eclectic. So traditional approach, let's talk about traditional approach. So traditional approach is probably the one that we grew up using, and maybe not, because the one that is in Nigeria is absolutely, I don't know, different maybe. But it's usually like the subject-based learning and different textbooks for different subjects, where you also have workbooks, you have different things, all these exam assessments and things like that. We also call that doing school at home. So basically, you're saying what they're learning in school, you just come and do it at home. There's no difference. You just come. So maybe if your child is in a particular school or something, so that's what we do now. What we are doing virtually now is school at home, but we're just doing it virtually. So the school sends you their curriculum, they send you what you're supposed to be doing, and then you are doing it. That's the traditional approach to learning. The next approach is classical approach, which Tokia talked about. It's a long tradition of education that has emphasized the seeking after of truth, goodness, and beauty, and the study of liberal arts and great books. So they have three stages. So they have the grammar, they have the logic, and they have the rhetoric. So so in the grammar, there's a lot more reading and reading aloud. And it talks about the different stages that children are at, right? So the first stage is like children are still very receptive. They are sponges, they soak in things. So you tell them a lot of facts, you just read to them, basically, they're learning these things. Then logic is when they grow up and they're still asking, between their teenage years, they're asking a lot of questions. They want to know the reason why this is this and reason why this is that. So you tailor their learning based on that. And then the rhetoric is, how they can now, as human beings, older adults, I don't know the adults yet, but like youths, trying to now put these things in their own words, put these things in their own terms and forming their own ideology and things like that. So that's what the classical approach is about. And I think Toki talked about that for us. So the classical approach teaches students how to learn and think. Don't worry, I'll send this thing to you. Then we have the Charlotte Mason. So the Charlotte Mason style of homeschooling uses rich literature and living books rather than textbooks. So the Charlotte Mason does not necessarily believe in textbooks, right? And all of this, so they don't believe in doing this textbooks. So you find some schools now, sometimes they don't do exams, so that's a philosophy that they hold, right? They don't believe in exams. They don't believe in you should be doing exams or assessing children in a certain way. So they'll answer questions here. They'll ask a child, instead of saying comprehension, when you read to them, the way we used to do that, they'll say, okay, give us comprehension and ask you questions. They'll ask you to retell the story. They'll ask you to narrate the story. They'll ask you, can you remember what you've read? Kind of thing. So it's not necessarily about, you should do this with textbook and stuff. So living books, they believe that living books like the Bible, right, is a living book for people that go this approach, right? It also includes a wide range of variety of subjects spread over the week in short, interesting lessons. So another thing about Charlotte Mason is that they don't have long hours of like classes or sessions. Their lessons are always very short. So our approach works with the way children naturally learn and presents a generous curriculum. There's something called the generous curriculum, including nature study, arts and music appreciation, and handicraft, as well as usual academic subjects. So that's what Charlotte Mason is all about. Then another popular one that we know of is Montessori. So Montessori, as we know, was founded by Maria Montessori. And basically, this one is characterized by the emphasis on independence, freedom within limits, consideration of a child's physical, psychological, and social development. So there are different ways, that people do Montessori, right? But at the end of the day, the idea of Montessori is such that it's child-led, right? It's child-led, and the child can always go and, pick the activity they want, but you have a facilitator that is there, but not the person that is not looked as a teacher, right? You are working alongside, the child and letting them learn to focus, letting them learn to use their interest based on the materials the Montessori materials that are available, give them freedom, so that's the idea behind Montessori. So Montessori is practicing, but true Montessori education includes multi-age classroom, student choice of activities from within a prescribed range of options, uninterrupted block of work time, ideally 3 hours. Students learn concepts from working with materials instead of direct instructions, specialized educational materials developed by Montessori, freedom of movement within the class, and a trained Montessori teacher. So these are the things that characterize Montessori. So we're going to move on to, so once you keep looking at all of these options, you can now decide where do you lean towards, So let's look at Waldorf. Waldorf was started by Rudolf Steiner. So this one is the role of imagination in learning strives to integrate holistically the intellectual, practical, and artistic development of the students. So this one too is also divided into 3 stages, right? So they try to pick at the earlier, so it's kind of a bit like classical, yeah, but of course they're always not exactly the same thing. Early years childhood education, then we have elementary, and then we have the secondary education. So this one is kind of popular too in the US. And the early years education focuses on practical hands-on activities and creative play. Elementary education focuses on developing artistic expression and social maturity. Secondary education focuses on developing critical reasoning and empathy. So the idea of this is to groom and raise free, morally responsible children, right? With the high degree of social competence. So different people at different stages in history did research and said that, and they came up with the philosophy of, this is what I now believe children should be, away from traditional. I don't believe that this is how children should be educated. This is how, so this is how they now came up with all of their own ideas, right? And then unschooling. Now unschooling was founded by John Holt. He is even a more modern philosopher. I mean, that's how we call it now. So for unschooling, you know, all of these other ones, they will come with like probably a curriculum. They'll come with how exactly you should engage the child, or these are the materials you should use. But unschooling does not believe in all of that. Unschooling doesn't believe in all of that. They don't have a set curriculum. They allow the child to do what they want based on their interests. So the idea of unschooling is not like, oh, just go free for all, go and do whatever you want, but it's based on the child's interest. So today, if my child wakes up and asks me about butterflies, oh, what are butterflies? What are this? What are that? We'll create something about butterflies, and that's what we'll sit down and continue doing till the child is ready to move on. So they capitalize on the child's interest and whatever the child is interested in, because as we all know, once a child is interested in something, they zone in on that thing and they want to know everything about it. So that's what unschooling does. It is not a free for all that avoids learning, but an extension of a learning style toddlers and preschoolers engage in. Life is learning for unschooling families. When a child shows interest in a subject, the subject is examined and the academics are learned through this investigation. So basically, whatever the child is interested in. If the child is interested in, oh, you sit down and watch football today, and I'm like, so what's this football thing about? What is this? They'll create something about football and teach them about football, teach them about the science of it, teach them about the business of it, teach them about, so they are learning different things based on their interest. So the newer term, life schooling, is also being used to define this method of homeschooling. So I'll put a link to there's a link here to all these places that I found this information. You can always click it to view it and stuff. So then unit studies. So unit studies is like theme-based studies, and that is picking a particular theme and doing everything about that particular theme, which is what Mrs. Anu suggested for the early years. So the idea of theme-based study is that, okay, so we're going to learn about animals, everything about animals, whatever they want to learn under animals. If it's about, you will use it with that animal theme. So if you want to learn, help them to learn their numeracy and whatever, they're going to talk about counting with animals. They're going to talk about counting animals. They're going to talk about all of these things. If you want to talk about reading or their literacy, they are going to read books about animals. They are going to read, they're going to do different things on the animals. If you want to develop their gross motor skills, you create activities around animals. You create like that. So that's what the theme-based approach is. So the objective of unit studies is to allow students to delve deeply into a given topic so that they can gain mastery of it. By exploring a subject from multiple angles, information is more likely to be retained. So that's what the unit study is about. Then eclectic. So eclectic is basically very individualized approach, because you can pick from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 places to tailor it to your child. So whatever your child is going to be about your child, not necessarily about, okay, what I feel is, so if your child is going to be more, if your child learns more with a Montessori approach and also learns something else with homeschooling or something, is mixing all of those things together to bring out exactly what the child needs. So many families find that what worked maybe for one semester may not work the next, or in many cases, what works for a child in one subject does not work in another subject. As a result, eclectic homeschooling approach will be completely different for different families. So the idea of eclectic is that you can choose, you can choose. Yeah, so that's it about all the approaches that are available. And remember that all of these approaches are rooted in different philosophies, and so that you have to still do the deep thinking on what you think will work for you, what you believe as a person, what will work for your family, what will work for your children. That has to come into consideration as well. Then next, we have planning and routine. Now, you cannot, even if you are unschooling, you have to plan, right? Because unschooling does not deal with structure and all of that. But if your child is interested in something and you want to take them through, you have to plan for that. So planning is very, very, very important to be successful with homeschooling. It is, so how I plan the year, because we use theme-based activities, I plan the whole year. Then I plan weekly, right? What we're going to do weekly, and also having a routine. Now, children thrive with routines, knowing what's next. And the routine doesn't have to be rigid, like, oh, you must wake up at 6 a.m. You must wake up at, it's more of a activity-based routine. What is going to happen next? What is going to happen next as against a time-framed routine? That one, a time-frame schedule, sorry, that one would, you will probably most likely not work, except you are one of those tempered wives that are always like, everything must happen at XYZ amount of time. I've tried that, it didn't work. So routine should be more activity based. So after we take a bath, whatever the time is, you'd eat. After you eat, we'll do circle time. After circle time, we'll do this and this and that. So basically, your activity based, regardless of time, it happens. So homeschooling is beautiful because you're not rushing to go to traffic, and you don't have to bath at 6 a.m. for your child. So basically planning, you plan out your homeschool year, depending on how detailed you are, depending on how, there's some people that they thrive in the pressure. They like lastminute.com that will make them, I can be like that for some things. I like the pressure. If the pressure is not there, I probably won't do it. So some people like the pressure. Some people are very meticulous planning. So I plan a general broad view at the beginning of the year. And so, but that might not happen for an unschooler, for example. You might not do a broad general beginning of the year kind of planning. You just go as you plan as the day goes by, right? But it's important. So I plan the places we go, because you are homeschooling, the people will not come and meet you in your house. You have to go out. It's also a challenge, because me as a person, I can sit down in my house for as long as whenever, but I have to go out almost every day because of my son, because you want to expose them to different things. It's the sacrifice that we make, right? So planning is important. You plan the year, plan your month, plan the week. So even if you have to have a set budget for places that you want to go, for example. But the good thing about it is that most of children, when your children are still small, most of the places that they have to go, they usually are not, they usually don't collect money for that age, or the money is always very small, 500 naira, 1,000 or something for smaller children. So depending on that, right, you have to also plan those things and materials you need to buy. There are some basic things you need to have in your home, especially if you are still in the early years phase. There are some basic things. I will include that basic thing inside this slide when I'm sending it. But this is a sample homeschool schedule. This is mine. This is what we do. The time is different on different days, but we usually do this almost every day, right? So we wake up, we bath, brush, play, eat. Circle time, I'll explain what circle time is. We'll do activities. I do structured activities Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I let my son free play on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Saturdays and Sundays, TV day, whatever. Then lunch, nap time, although we don't have nap anymore, so it's playtime. Snacks, evening activities, we usually go outdoors, we take a walk or something. And then evening routine, read, play, pray, and sleep. So that's a sample schedule. Yours might not look like mine, but usually there's not so much that needs to be added to it, right? So what we used to do is the days of his free play, Tuesdays and Thursdays before COVID-19, we used to go out on those days, meet up with a friend or meet up with some families and stuff like that. So that's what we do. Then another major thing people talk about is assessment and record keeping. So people want to so how do you assess your child? I don't believe in doing exams and all of that. So I don't believe in all of that. But it's important that you do keep records, because when you first start and maybe your child is not talking yet, you question yourself, and the way people will be questioning you, you question yourself. This is what I'm doing, does it make sense? Will this child be knowing anything? Will all of these things, questions will pop up. But as soon as your child starts speaking or starts demonstrating something, that's the stage Toki said that you just give people a satisfactory answer to their questions and not mind them. But when they see your child now and he's talking and you'll be like, which school is he going? I'm like, actually, he's not going to school. I'm like, whoa! So that's the reaction now. But before, the reaction was always, when are you going to send him to school now? Now, people are asking me, let me send my child to your house, ma. Let me send my child to your house. By the time my son walks out on our street, on our road, and greets random people and just talks to them, he makes friends more than I do, because he just random, and adults that meet stuff, I won't even think to go and talk to you, go and say, good morning, how are you? They will ask you, how are you? Fine. And he will answer intelligently and stuff. And they'll be like, he speaks very well and stuff. So when people start seeing, they'll stop questioning you. So don't pay attention to naysayers. Don't pay attention to people that just want to talk. There are people that will give you legit constructive feedback. Please, of course, pay attention to those and see if it makes sense or not. But if it's just about questioning your judgment and what you are doing and whatever, don't do that. Don't pay attention to all of that. You can keep giving them satisfactory answer oh yes, when they are XYZ age, they'll go to school and stuff like that, so that they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, their mind will calm down. But if it's just about, so when is this child going to school? Are you not going to send this child to school? No. You will know all the condescending ones. Ensure that you don't pay attention to them, because the truth is that you will start seeing the benefits and the difference as you go along. That's all I can say. So for assessment, right, I've seen someone that said that, what she did for her children was, at some point when they were older, they were not in the early years, so when they were older, she just took them to a school, right, and spoke to the owner of the school and says, can the person just please help her assess her children? So that's what she did. She took them to school for them to help them assess, just to ensure. And at the end of the day, sometimes these things are just for us to, validation, basically, that are we on the right track? Are we this? Are we that? But for children in the early years, I would say that all you have to do is observe. Observe, observe, observe. Just observe them. Observe what they're doing. Put it in contrast with their developmental milestones. What are they supposed to be doing? What are they? So that you can also validate yourself and you are not also overthinking it, right? As long as the children are playing in a safe, loving environment, I dare say that that's what they need. That's all they need. Safe environment. Let them go outdoors. Read to them. In the early years, that's what they need. As long as they are loving, hugging, kissing, let everybody say whatever they want to say. But keep records in the sense that, so what I do is, I don't know if my book is here, I have an observation book. I write it out, like literally everything that I see and notice. I don't, so even if I see that, oh, my son cannot identify, he's 3 years old. He does not know his numbers. He knows it, but he cannot necessarily identify. If I hold up 5, he can say, okay, he knows 5. But if I say, maybe if I hold up 3 or 1, sometimes he might not know it, sometimes he can know it. I note it down. I don't force him to know it. I note it down. So that even when I'm interacting with him, I can be sure to point out 3 to him when next I am, so the idea of the assessment for you as the parents is to know what to focus on based on their milestone. When not somebody asked if your child is a genius or something, I think, the information is for you as a parent, not for the child. That's so that your child does not feel like, oh, I don't know this thing. So even when my child doesn't know the 3, I'll be like, well done, this is 3. And I'll say that this is 3. Even if he asks, if he doesn't get it, I'll say, well done, this is 3. And I tell him the correct thing. I don't try to say, you don't know it. Come on, sit down here. Start listening. No, they don't need all of that. The assessment is for your information, not for their information. It's for you and knowing what to focus on for them. Then, record keeping is basically that, what you observe, and maybe keeping all of their, taking pictures of them doing something, taking pictures of their activities, taking pictures of their development. That's record keeping. So that anybody that say, have you been homeschooling? You can create an album for them and put everything in that album and say, this is what I've been doing. When there's a picture or a video before when your child could not jump, and there's another video in the future where they can jump very well, that's progress. I mean, we are keeping records for progress. So ensure that you take pictures, do videos, keep their crafts. If you don't want to recycle them, keep their crafts, keep their this thing, so that you too can also look back and say that this is how far we have come, for your validation and for your own information, not for their information, so you don't demoralize them or this thing. So like I said, observe, keep records, take pictures, journal your homeschool day. So just write out the things to note about each day. And of course, there's a tendency that when we are recording, we're only recording the things that do not go right. Please record the things that go right as well. My child could, when I asked him, when we talked about this, he remembered the thing we did 2 weeks ago. He remembered the thing we did 3 weeks ago. That's progress. Document that as well. You're not just documenting, he doesn't know 1, 2, 3. He doesn't know this one. So observe, keep records. So tips and tricks for when you're not sure of your path. When you're not sure of the path you want to go yet, I always say that give it some time. There's no rush to pick a path. There's no rush to say, okay, I'm a classical homeschooler. There's no rush. You can always test it out. You can always go with it. Try going with the flow first. See what your child likes. Observe your child as you're going with the flow. I think this also answers Lois's question. She says, can we just go with the flow first? Yes, you can start with the flow. You can start with the curriculum. You can start however, but ensure that you are always review and take what works and take what doesn't work, right? So tips and tricks for when you're still not sure. Let your child's developmental milestone be your guide. So what should your child be learning at age 3? What should your child be doing? Or what should your child know? Or what should your child at age 3? Or your child should be jumping, or your child should be able to put one leg in front of the other. when you're doing activities or when you're climbing up the stairs, try and encourage them to say, but most of the truth is that most of these things you don't teach them. They always just do it because they observe you doing it. But you just make sure that those are the things that you pay attention to, right? And you try to ensure that you have those things in focus in mind when you are creating activities for them. Put these things into consideration. Fine motor skills, they should be able to pick something up and drop it here. They should be able to listen to 2-word instructions. So give your child 2-word instructions, right? Start with one, start with half. Go and get me that. They'll go and pick it up. It's homeschooling. Please go to the room, on the bed, pick up that thing. That's 2-word instructions. So based on their developmental milestones, what should they be doing? That should be your guide first when you have not chosen the path yet. Have a barest minimum list. What is a barest minimum list is bad as bad throughout this whole day. There are times when I need this, when I'm tired, I'm just over it, like I've had it up to here with my toddler or whatever. That barest minimum list is what we are going to do at the minimum in a whole day to be able to develop your child outdoors. Very important. We want to ensure that we read to the child. We want to ensure that they have water play or they play with something, a sensory table or whatever. So these are examples of a bare minimum list. So for you now, what do you think that you can accommodate barely on the days that you don't have the energy for shouting and dancing and all of that? On the days you don't have that energy or you don't have a path yet that gives you directly what to do, what is on this list that should be done? Anything that would ensure that and contribute to the growth and development of your child, put it on that list and make sure that you do those things every day. Simple. Let the interest of the child lead you. So if you don't have, so this is more like homeschooling, but let the interest of the child lead you. If your child is interested in something, particularly in that season, create activities around that interest. Do things that are around that thing that the child is interested in, so that at least they're learning something. At least they're focusing on something. At least they're pushing their development forward. They're learning, they're growing, they're gaining knowledge every day. Then connect learning to living. So this is also good for maybe people that are busy and don't have, people that are busy, that don't have time, basically. So connect learning to living. So in the everyday life, when you're cooking, when you're washing, when you're doing the chores in the house, when you're doing anything you're doing, let your child be along with you. Tag your child along with you to do. You won't force them, but this will take a lot of patience because of course we know that children might not do it as good as we want them to do it. But the idea is for them to just be involved. That way, when they are cooking or if you are baking and you give your child the spatula to turn, they are exercising their fine motor skills. If you are reading from maybe from online, your recipes and stuff, you can just show them that, oh, I'm reading this and this and this. Oh, we have 2 cups of this one. Measure 2 cups for me. Of course, they might not know how to measure 2 cups or anything, but that's math skills. Measuring is math skills. Yeah, building their math skills that they will use when they are 7 or they will use when they are 8, right? You are engaging all of those things. And when you're connecting the learning to living your life, they're basically learning. You don't necessarily have to say, okay, this is our set curriculum for this. The curriculum is what I have to do today. So today, we have to go to the market. Today, we have to go to this. You have to do that. Take your child along with you. When you're writing your shopping list, let them be there. Shopping, maybe it's letters you're using to write it. That's English. That's literacy. So everybody writes your own shopping list. Give them paper and crayon. Let them write their own shopping list. They will scribble, but let them write their shopping list, right? Go to the market together. They are learning. If you are going to the market where you have to bargain, they are paying attention. They are learning. That's math. That's learning how to, that's a life skill. Negotiation. So these things, If you're not sure of the path you want to go, you can use that method as well. Then use outdoors as a resource, which is why I said it should be on your barest minimum list to go outside every day. Because even in our small area where we go out every day, we do not see the same things every day. Some days there's a truck that's parked on the road. My son will see a dumper truck. Some days there is somebody that is watering their garden. Some days there's somebody that's washing their car. Another day there's another person that's changing their tire, flat tire. Those are different things that we've already learned in those different days. So every day is not the same outside. Today they will see a butterfly. Tomorrow they will see a grasshopper. Next tomorrow they will see something different. And these are opportunities for us to teach them something, for them to learn something new. You know, then another thing is you can always mix different approaches, right? Like you said, eclectic, you can also always mix. Then in the mornings, use a playlist to get started. I'm not a morning person, and it's always very hard for me sometimes to just keep getting excited for a certain time. I know children love this excitement. Everywhere should be bubbling, everywhere should just be noisy, and they'll just be dancing, playing, and all of that. It's very hard for me to get there before we start. So I created a playlist on boom music. I can add the playlist for you guys. So if you want it, it has different children's circle time songs. Even if you don't want to sing, you could just play it. And it's singing for everybody, and everybody's singing. You get? So that's another approach. That's another trick that you can use. Then give yourself permission when things are not working to let it go. If something is not working, let it go. You don't have to, don't force it. Yeah, don't force it. So give your permission to let it go. Join a community or have a mommy friend. So I'm hoping that you guys will make mommy friends here or daddy friends here, and find each other online or wherever. If you are, especially if you're in the same place, to connect and share, bounce ideas off of. Like Toki said, he spoke to somebody that was already using the curriculum they wanted to use. They bounced ideas before they made their decision. So find out from people what they're doing, even if you're just starting out together, bouncing off ideas, and that community can absolutely help. Then rest. It's not easy, let's not lie, eh? And I'm not here to lie to you that, oh well, I'm so good. See how my skin is popping, is foundation. It's not easy. It's not easy. There's a lot of sacrifice to be made. Under this foundation, there are very big Gucci bags there, big ones, because I've not been sleeping. If you want to still, be somebody that is making plenty money on the side and homeschooling, sleep will sacrifice, because it takes a whole lot, and that's the truth. So find time to rest, find something for you aside of being extra involved in the work. Find something that you can do for yourself that will take your mind off of just having a child 24/7 in your space. That's why it's also good to have a supportive spouse, so they know the work that is involved. So when they're bragging about their child outside, and they know the work that is involved inside. So when you say, I need a break, please, ain't nobody gonna object, yeah? So ensure that you take time to rest, and let your homeschool year have a break, please. Even schools, they have breaks. We recently just came back from holiday. We took like 6 weeks or so off, yeah? Even though it was weird, because we were always doing something, but not doing anything and having to, basically rely on TV most of the time. But it was a break that I needed, to not think that, every week I have to plan this, I have to plan this, I have to plan that. So ensure that you are resting. Then if you are absolutely busy, because I also understand that, which is why I like to give grace to people, because this country is expensive, let's be honest. Everything is expensive. The two parents are in a career and they want to do this, but they know they cannot do it. I say that And somebody asked me yesterday when I did a live session, says, then like partial homeschooling. The truth is that there are people that will say, no, there's nothing like partial homeschooling. But you got to give grace to people, right? Because it's not easy. And even if people think that they maybe have the capacity, even just in them alone to do it, they probably cannot. So yes, you can also get tutors that would help you, even if it's even in the early years, someone that will come and engage your child. But one thing I say is that you must, very important, must be involved in the process. You might not necessarily be involved in the execution, but be involved in the process, which is all this that we've gone through, choosing your philosophy, making sure that what exactly the person you're bringing into your home to do this, that primary caregiver is going to do XYZ, is to ensure that you know what they're doing and you're the one giving them exactly what to do. So they're not coming in as, oh, this is what your child should know. They can give their opinion, but you are ultimately in charge of what they do. So be heavily involved in the process of forming what people will do, and then they can execute it because they are supposed to have the knowledge of how to do it, right? Then you will also be involved in ensuring that what you said they should do is what they are doing, right? So you don't necessarily have to execute it, but you must be heavily involved in the process. So even if you are getting, of course, then there are people that get people to come and do their extracurricular activities, for them, like piano, gymnastics and all, but you should also be involved in the process of every single thing, right? Yeah, so that brings me to Teria. So I had a meeting with them about last year when they wanted to start their homeschooling program. And, so they told me that they were going to let me know when they started and stuff. So they started their homeschooling program, and where they have teachers and experts in different stages, early years, even up to, I don't know, I think junior, secondary, I don't know. They should have teachers. Basically, you just let them know exactly what you want, right? Let them know exactly what you want, and they will provide you. Of course, that's what I'm saying. You have to, there's space for you to be involved in the process, telling them this is what you want. So they have early years experts, they have all of those things, but you have to be involved, right? So I'll also leave a link to, on this slide I'm going to share to you, I'll leave a link to their page for home tutors if that's what you want to do. But ensure that you tell them that you are from the Kodu blog, because they said they are going to give a gift if you sign up, after a month, they will give you a gift for joining through here. So then what resources do I have? I have a blog where I talk about our own homeschooling journey. So basically also a support system for you, most especially if you think that you need support, if you need somebody to see that somebody else is doing this thing, so I have a blog. I also try to document all the things we do weekly and show our progress, not because I want to pressure people on all of that, but I've also seen that there are people that have gained inspiration to also be seeing that they can be able to do it for their children as well, based off of the things I share. But if it's pressuring you, please, you can click the unfollow button. We are not here to pressure people. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just for inspiration and education. Then I also have I have two Telegram groups. One Telegram group is basically just the homeschooling community, different people that are, not all of them are homeschooling, but we are just there. So the group is not as very active, but at least from that group, we have gone on one outing together before. So at least it is helpful. Then I have another group where I share themed-based activities for children ages 1 to 5. Ages 1 to 5. So if you want to if you are looking for something to do before you choose your path, that would be a good place to start. Right, so we've had like 6 to 7 weeks already backlogged. So free for all. Then you can also follow me on social media, the Kodu blog and the Kodu Playhouse. So this Kodu Playhouse account is dedicated to just homeschooling and sharing basic information about homeschooling and our homeschooling journey. And maybe materials, I'm still not sure about that yet, but for now, yes. So that's it. Let me stop sharing. Yes. So all of the links are going to be in that. So if you registered, I'm going to send you everything. I'm going to send you the slide, right? So it's not just for Lagos. It's not just for Lagos. Yeah. The idea is that if everybody is together in one place, and then we can say, oh, I'm in Ibadan. Is there any other Ibadan mom here? Is there any other this? Is there any other that? We can be able to connect based off of the locations that we're in. So even in Lagos is big. I'm on the island. Somebody's on the mainland. It's not every activity that you might be able to come for that maybe I want to do, right? So you can say, okay, if you are in Ikeja, we are going out today. Is anybody interested? You want to follow us to the park or to the museum or whatever? So that's the idea, is to be able to find. Yes, so I will send everything tonight, the slide. So on the slide, you see all the links to everything that I spoke about. Yeah, we'll see all the links to everything I spoke about. So I wanted to see all the comments. Okay, yes. Stay at home dads. Okay. You see, I'm a product photographer. Yes, I am. Thank you. Okay. Read my bio. You put that one is not necessary now. Okay, so I'll document all the questions. So if you have any questions at this point, please leave them. Let me go through all the chats that we had because I couldn't see them before. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, thank you. Is there a group for homeschooling families? Yes, I have a group for homeschooling families. The link is in the slides. I will send it to you. If you registered, so if you've not registered, register. So I will send, so your name will be included in it. So we have stay-at-home dads in the house. Okay, how expensive is homeschooling, especially for people with more kids? I follow you on Instagram and I see you do a lot with your son. Okay, so how expensive is homeschooling? So expensive is relative, right, to different people. What I might consider expensive might not be expensive to you. So, but basic things is that there will be some heavy, some things you have to purchase when you first start. And if you are going the route of a curriculum, some of them are not cheap, right? Like Toki said, and you probably have to buy them every year. For now, I don't go the route of curriculum. I don't buy curriculums. And aside from buying materials, so the basic things that you need, like I said, I will include the things that basically you need in your house when you're homeschooling. You need a printer. You need to buy you need to buy some maybe wooden blocks, all these things. You need to buy some basic things, paints, craft materials. What else? You need to have money to be going for outings. You know, you have to travel, but if you can't travel, by all means, so it's relative to different people. But I would say that if you compare it to, well, I don't know how much people pay in schools in different places, but when you have to pay, like, let's say the basic minimum I've seen from like 120K, I'm just saying 120K, but I know that there are more schools that are more expensive than that. I've seen 500K per term. So, and you have to pay that per term, and you're paying it 3 times, right? In that one, that 500, you cannot spend it in the whole year when you're homeschooling. I give you that for free. So the truth is that in comparison to traditional school, I believe it's cheaper. Some people will say it's more expensive, but I believe it's cheaper because there are different paths to go. You don't have to buy curriculum all of the time. You don't have to. So you have to weigh the options for you. You have to weigh the options for you. Both parents must be on the same page. Yes. It's a key advantage to homeschool. Yes, you can. Please, can we get the slide? Okay, no, I will send the slide to you. Okay, it's quite clear. Network. Can we have a blend of these learning approaches? I mentioned that, yes. Okay, so what is circle time? What is circle time? I've said it. Circle time is just a time you set aside, maybe transitioning into your school time. You sit down with your child, you talk about different things. You can sing nursery rhymes, you can talk about the weather, you can talk about what is happening in the world right now. You can talk about sing, dance, play, read a book, depending on you at the end of the day, what you want to do, but it's just a set aside time that it's called circle time because usually in traditional schools or traditional settings, the children sit in a circle with their facilitator or their teacher. My son is not talking yet. It makes, yes, you will be very skeptical when your child is not talking. Yes, please to the playlist. I'll put the playlist in the link as well. I'm available for friendship. Lois is available for friendship. Who else is in Lorry? It's stressful, it's late nights, early morning. Yes. Curriculum websites for classical education. Yes, Memorial Press. Memorial Press. Okay, somebody has put it. Thank you. Bragging about their child. Okay, I can see people are connecting. That's great. That's the idea. So we have a Telegram group already, so you can always join that. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So like I said, so budget. Okay, somebody asked, what is the budget at the barest minimum? I don't know, it depends. There are weeks that maybe the days if you go out, I would spend maybe 4,000 Naira. I don't know. There are some weeks we don't spend anything. I mean, so I had a spreadsheet where I started putting together the budget of the things we spent. So I was trying to put it at the end of the year so I can look back and say, so at the end of the year, when I look back, I'll be able to say exactly how much. Okay, so getting materials, you can get materials anywhere. I used to sell materials. I say used to because I'm moving forward. I don't think I want to sell materials anymore because I'm homeschooling a child. And to be honest, running a business is not for the faint of heart in Nigeria, most especially. And I have to still go to market to buy these things. And that means leaving my child and him not being able to follow me to this fake stressful market in Lagos. And then there's also a lot of things that the business needs that I might not be able to give it my all but I'm planning to do something where if I have people that want to buy materials part time, we can put a set date where you tell me what you need, I can go purchase it for you, just as from the goodness of my heart, not because I'm running a business. So I want to do that. That was my plan. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, I still have some materials around. So if you want, I'm going to do sales of all of them so that I don't have to deal with them anymore. Okay, yes. Okay. Yes, that's what I said. I still have some materials for sale. You can't, for people that my people, I can put together a box for you, but it won't be because I am selling. It's not because I want to do a business. You get? So if you are going to be my community, if you want materials, I can always source them out for you. But the reason why I decided to do the box was because when I was also trying to get materials, you go to here, buy one. You won't find everything in one place. It's why I put together the box. So, and I know that people really want this thing, but it's not feasible for me to run it as a business right now. So if you want, I'll make sure that we have days where we maybe once a month or twice a month that we set aside, or once in 2 months set aside to buy materials for people if they want. So basically, yes. Then the final part of our giveaway, because we are at the end of this thing. So we'll put together the questions for Linda. She would help us do a recording and I'll send everything to us. So the final part, my sister's phone has died. So I don't know if she'll be able to tell us who won, but we are going to still pick them anyways. We picked 7 initially. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. We picked 7 initially and we have how many gifts? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 5 more. So we have 5 more gifts. But the person that I saw that was the most active person, I don't know, it's so hard to pick. Who is going to pick the most active person for me? So, oh yeah, sweetheart, come and pick the 5 people.
There are some people on YouTube.
There are some people on YouTube.
They were asking if.
Okay, question on YouTube. Will those in YouTube package in the giveaway? Wow.
So what number did you stop? You can add YouTube number.
We can add YouTube number. I don't know. Tosin was the one in charge of it. Who was the person's name? Okay, there's just a number of people. Sure. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do that. But let's just pick. Yeah, pick 5. Pick 5. Pick 5. 5. Who is going to pick the most active person that's been here from the beginning? Number 48. And my sister knows the numbers, so we have to. I will just have to tell you later. I don't know because our phone died and they don't have lights now. So somebody asked, in this COVID era, how can we get materials? There are people that are selling materials. Number 54. There are people that are selling materials on Instagram and going to the markets. Really, they are not. I don't know the way how to describe the place, but there are plenty in Balogun markets. So there's. I don't know how to describe. Number 74. So my sister will get me the list, but I'll read out the first 10. So who is the person in Ibadan? If you are in Ibadan, please let's know you so that you will win our gift from Ibadan. Number 74. Number 13. Please, the people that are on YouTube, send me your email. Send me your name. I will give you something. Yeah, so it wasn't the name you picked by yourself. So, and number 50. Okay, and number 50. So I'll get the names of the people that are number 50 or these numbers. And then the winners, the first winner is first 10 people, Vivo 1909, Happiness, Emobong, Simileoluwa, Cynthia Ade Martins, Ade Shola Lajuwomi, Bolutife Anthony, Joseph Oluchi, Lois, Lagos Doyen, and Morire Adetokun. So please send me a message and you win something. Who is in Ibadan? I don't know. I'll ask if she can send to the person that wants to So the person that wants to give something away in Ibadan is actually in Ibadan, and she wants to just give somebody, she just wants to give somebody in Ibadan so that we don't have to worry about shipping. I've not seen anybody that's in Ibadan, but from, so if you hear your name first, then please send me a message or a DM at the Cuddle blog, and we'll arrange how. Yes, the Ibadan mom that is here, I know, is the person that is giving something away. So who is the Ibadan mom? Yes. Okay. Then the person that I saw from my own perspective that was very interactive is is Vivo 1909 from my own perspective. So the person wins. Yeah. So somebody said that we are right. I agree, because the person was always like commenting. I think it's a dad. Okay, so if your husband is in Ibadan, please, so Rukiat Belu, please send me a message, and we'll get Fumbi to send it to you. So everybody agrees that Vivo 1909 is the most interactive person, and the person will win 10 sessions to Kumbi's music class for their child. So, do we have any more questions? I really appreciate you guys for staying to the end. Thank you so much. It was really, really, really important that we had this conversation, and I hope that it was of value to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. Sorry. Thank you so much for joining. We did it. Thank you all. Thank you. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. God bless you too. Mwah. Bye. Oh. My email, Aramide, out. If you are part of the group, if not, send me an email. Send me a DM on at the Cuddle blog. Sorry, send me a DM with your email address, and I will answer any other questions. Oh, after party dance. Thank you. Okay. Then send me a DM. Thank you, Lois. Thank you so much, everybody.